I'm not so sure. Yes, so we are live now, I'm sure, and just going across to make the people see you, Brain, the handsome Brain.
Good man, very good. You look handsome too.
I am?
Cecil, of course. Don't underestimate your beauty, man.
You serious?
Yeah, man.
Thank you for that. Anyway, I can just say thank you, Brain. I know that you're not flattering me.
I'm being honest.
You're a guy, you speak your mind.
That's why you charm the ladies in your young days, and you're still charming them all now.
I don't know about that, no. And I can I can't say that I used to charm the ladies.
You still do, man. You still do.
Well,
remember, you started your escapade in school, in high school.
Yes.
So you must have been something special.
Not necessarily. I mean, doing these things in high school doesn't state that you are special. You are sometimes like Maxi Prince would say that you are lucky.
Yeah,
you know, there are some guys that are lucky, and maybe I would have been one of the lucky guys. You know, let's take a call quickly. I don't know why the person wants to say, the person is off, but maybe some guys are lucky. I know, Brain, that you were lucky.
Yeah, I'm always very, what I would say, very fortunate with the ladies. Very fortunate. That's what I would say.
What you had, Brain, at that time that would allow ladies to come closer to you?
Well, I think it's my gentle look. I'm a 6-footer, you know, hailing all the way from Portersville, you know. So being at high school, at college, you know, at the time where you had all the girls coming in, the intelligent girls, you know. So I guess I was a late bloomer. Let me say that.
Brain said he was a late bloomer.
Okay, you know, I was on the heavy manners.
By your father?
By my father.
Up to the age of 45?
No.
What age you had your first child?
I broke loose at 22.
What age you had your first child?
At 22.
22.
Ian, my son.
Oh, all right. A very handsome guy. Were you as handsome as this guy when you were growing up?
He's a bit more handsome than me, I must say.
Okay,
his mother is a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Beautiful lady.
Yeah. So it's a mixture of both you and
me and her.
Okay. Where did he take the brains from?
Well, from both of us.
From both of you.
Very intelligent woman as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But tonight is not about brain.
No, it's about
it's not about
our show. It's not about you.
It's about the Lakou.
Well, Cecil, quite a bit has happened in the news. Basically, we're still watching that Putin did visit China after,
Donald Trump?
After Donald Trump, and we're still looking at what is happening in the war in Iran.
So we two giants of the world, two great leaders of the world, two decisive leaders of the world, two direct, straight leaders of the world, but they both have different characters.
Yeah, they both
visited China. China in the middle. What would you make of China if two great leaders have decided that they should visit China?
Well, basically, China is the playmaker now. China has all the necessary wherewithal to influence geopolitical situation around the world. As you know, China doesn't flex its military muscle, but it flexes its economic power. So basically, China, Russia, and the United States flex their military power. They're both what I call nuclear power.
Once upon a time, the British, or we can say the Europeans, were in Africa quite a lot. Now we are seeing the presence of China. We also would have seen the French, the Dutch, the English, who would have been in the Caribbean, also Spain,
Portuguese.
Yes,
Spain.
They were in the Caribbean, and we are now seeing the change of guards.
Yeah, the changing of the guards.
And we have seen quite a number of countries in the region actually do have bilateral relationship with China.
That's right. Quite a number of them in China, in the Caribbean and in Africa and in the Pacific.
In the Pacific, yes.
Yeah, they're spreading their wings around the world with their economic might. And we're seeing now the United States is flexing its military power. For instance, now they have indicted Raul Castro, who was 96 years old.
96, yes.
That's creating quite a stir among the revolutionaries around the Latin America and around the world as well. So that's a very interesting situation now. With Raul, as you can see, at 96, the man still strong, me boy.
Yes, and knowledgeable.
And very knowledgeable. So we're looking at this one as well. It seems to me they're making some progress in the war between the United States and Iran. So we wait to see what happens. There seem to be a lot of discussions as to the Straits of Hormuz and moving forward and with the nuclear.
I heard Donald Trump a few days ago making mention that he actually controls the streets. I couldn't believe that Donald Trump was saying that.
Boy,
I honestly couldn't believe that Donald Trump was saying that everything is happening by his fancies, and is he that they are calling to determine.
Don't be surprised.
I mean, don't be surprised about what?
Whatever he says, don't be surprised.
No, I'm surprised about what he has said.
Well, I'm never surprised because,
if you have to do fact finding, you will see and you will know and you will hear and you can also read that it's false.
Yeah, the tweets, that's not true. I mean, controlling the Straits of Hormuz, no. That's not true at all. So it's a matter of, just listening, and I hope that some solutions come quickly and that we can go back to normal. Because what's the price of a gallon of gas now?
Boy, I'm seeing right now in Dominica it's 1905.
Well, it's climbing, man.
Yes.
1905. Just now it will hit $20 a barrel.
Yes.
So that's very, very... And, it's driving up the cost of living as well. The men are asking a lot more now for their beef in the market.
Yes.
You're spending more on beef now. So let's see what happens in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So that's what I would like to
We said that, you remember about a month ago we made mention that the barrel of oil is going to rise?
Yeah, I think...
As it's going up, we're going to feel the pinch?
The effects of it. I think it's more than $140 a barrel now. The last I saw, I don't know what you saw, but it was over $140 a barrel.
And that is crazy.
That's crazy. That's really crazy. So let's wait and see what happens, and maybe in the next 2 weeks we'll get a decision. But it will take a while before the Arab countries recover from the effects of that war. It will take them a little while before things get back to normal.
And we can only pray that the price of oil goes down. I saw a young lady, an African lady. Her name is Precious. This week on social media, I'm doing my best to follow everything that's around us. And she decided to take 100 EC dollars, which is 47 US, and to see what she could purchase in Dominica with 100 US. And I said, why didn't she say, can she take 47 US and purchase all what she purchased in Dominica? I saw she went to the market. She bought pineapples. I think she bought mangoes. She bought a few fruits, and then she went to one of the supermarkets. Actually, she was planning to go to J.R. Stephens and Company. She said it was closed at the time after 7, and she went to another one, which is Fresh Market, and she was able to purchase a number of things with that 47 US. And she still said that, wow, prices are high.
Boy, let me tell you something. I was telling a couple of friends of mine, when I travel around the country and I see things, that we normally get for free on the ground. I passed through Jimmyton. There was a lot of mangoes on the ground. A lot of mangoes. I went by a friend of mine. He just told me, I went by Andrew Green today. I went to see him, and we had a good time. And mangoes all around, man, as you go up to Mont Daniel. As you travel to Portsmouth area, a lot of mangoes. So when you 2, 3, 4 mangoes, you're already full, man. Mango long, grafted mango.
Yes, especially the mango long.
Yeah.
I've seen quite a lot of grafted mangoes around. I've seen a set of all the types.
Right. Well, right by me there's a big tree of mango, grafted mango. So I mean, grafted mango is not a problem. But as you travel, Cecil, you see it's mango season now. Now's the time to eat as much mango as you can, Because, when it's plentiful, you eat. When it becomes scarce, you pause.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing we're going to be finding out there is kennips. So we have fruits, man. And so Dominica is a place to be. It's a place where you can get your fruits. It's a place where you can bathe in the sea when you want, how you want, as you want. You can jump in a river when you want, how you want, as you want. So, you don't find that anywhere around the world like that. No, you jump in the sea, right? You go down to Donkey Beach, you bathe. You go to Portersville, you bathe.
Yes, doesn't matter where.
You go to Salisbury, you bathe.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere you want to stop over, you bathe. You jump in a river.
And that is good for us, in Dominica. I must say that is really good for us. That in terms of people that is really free, free from I shouldn't say free from stress, because simple things can stress you out. And so when we look at some of the countries of the region and some of the countries of the world, the larger parts, you will see some of the things that are actually happening in terms of oil prices, in terms of prices of goods and services. It can be hard and can be very frustrating.
Mm-hmm. And when you travel around the world, you really begin to appreciate. Don't worry about what you hear people say. I've never seen any bigger ghetto in my life than when I was studying in Jamaica. And I asked a friend of mine if the ghetto still exists in Jamaica. He told me yes. You go to the Philippines, you see it. You go to Thailand, you see it.
I wonder.
You go to Vietnam,
I would like to get the true definition of a ghetto, because in Dominica, if we're looking at the definition that we have seen in other parts of the world, we can almost say that we don't have, or where we see it seems to be a ghetto. It is less than 2% of really the ghetto life.
Well, the ghetto I saw in Jamaica to me, I was shocked. I was shocked at the ghetto. Those that I see when I travel, I'm shocked. So really and truly, we do not really have what we would call a real ghetto, where people you see staying in galvanized houses or cardboard. We have our issues in the city, of course, with the paros, but in terms of the real ghetto vibes where people living, I've not seen it.
No, the other thing I would like to talk about quickly is the first manager of DBS Radio, Dominica Broadcasting Service, Jeff Charles, has passed. And it is strange, Brain, on Wednesday evening, you know that we are having this reading competition. And on Wednesday evening, I was going through some old files that I have in my office. And I came about and I saw some documents that were written by Jeff Charles to the then permanent secretary, cabinet secretary, Mr. Signoret, and the things that they were talking about for the establishment of DBS Radio. That document was in April of 1970. Dominica had WIBs, so they were actually talking as to when they are established as DBS Radio, because they wanted to have DBS Radio in the same year. And we saw that it happened in 1971. So I was shocked the following day when I understood that he passed on. And just about under a year that I would have requested my production department, because we were planning to do a program on all managers of DBS Radio that are alive. So we thought of Dennis Joseph, we thought of Jeff Charles, Bernard Defoe is since dead, Myrtle Solomon is since dead, but we thought of people like Gordon Henderson, Havis Chillingford, Bully since then dead, and George John has himself passed on. And we have Charles James. We also have Dennis Joseph still around. Margaret Warrington is still around. And Brian Mead is still around. So my intention was last year to have a program and to hear the voices of every manager, to talk on the challenges and to tell us exactly, what went through in the development of DBS Radio and the space that they had as manager, what the changes that they would have brought to the radio station. And I think I have something of Jeff Charles, and I'm sure I'm going to get my production department to get me that voice of Jeff Charles. As a matter of fact, I can say that I spoke with I've spoken with him on a number of occasions, and sometimes you speak to people because you would have gone through, or they would have gone through something before you, and you would want to hear the views, like most times I do with Dennis Joseph. So Jeff Charles is one of the person, as you know, in broadcasting as a broadcaster, especially for sports, and to include cricket. In those early days, was a very prolific broadcaster. You would hear people make statement like when you say something, they would say "Moka pour ça là pour Jeff Charles annonce," and so I don't know what you would know of Jeff Charles as manager of DBS Radio.
Well, I knew Jeff Charles even before he became manager of DBS. I heard about him at the Dominica Grammar School where he taught. He was a teacher at the grammar school. And then I remember before he entered into DBS, I knew he used to commentate in cricket at the Botanical Gardens, especially when St. Vincent and Dominica would be playing. And you had Stal Lestrade, you had Jeff Charles, you had Heavy Shillingford, you had Cecil Goodridge at the time, and we all listened to that exciting voice of Jeff Charles. In fact, we used to jump the gardens wall during break, or even before break, to go and listen or watch cricket and also listen to Jeff Charles, because he was one of the best cricket announcers at the time.
Because you had what is called transistors, so you could have gone to school with a transistor and listened to Jeff Charles while you're in the gardens. But before we do that, someone's on the telephone. Let's see what the person has to say. Good evening to you, caller.
Jeff Charles was only a teacher, not a common teacher. He was a footballer, goalkeeper, grammar school, and for Blackburn. Jeff Charles.
For grammar school and
Blackburns.
Thank you for that information.
Where did he play? Yeah. Forwards or goal? Yeah.
Goalkeeper.
He was goalkeeper. Okay.
Thank you for that information. Yeah, and I like the fact that someone could make mention of those things, or that thing of he being a goalkeeper for Blackburns and for the Dominica Grammar School. I never heard that before.
Right. Yes, I heard that before. He also lived somewhere in Roseau. Jeff Charles lived in Roseau.
I think he lived in Goodwill. I
think he lived somewhere in Canal Lane.
I was about to say Canal Lane in Goodwill.
In Goodwill. I remember him driving his vehicle up there.
Mm-hmm.
And also he had a beautiful sweetheart at the back of me in Churchill.
Not far from,
remember.
Not far from his
Not
place.
far from me.
Okay. Someone just said that another thing that was very popular, I remember that also, that whenever something is said, someone would say, whenever people having their talk, they would say, Belle Beth put Jeff Annonce.
That's right.
That was another popular one,
Very, very eloquent.
Yes. Someone said that he had a very captivating voice.
Yes.
Yes. That means he could charm any lady.
Any lady, way. And he was not, I would say, the handsomest of men, eh?
Someone said the girl that you're talking about was Susan.
Don't call her name, no.
That's what the person said. Is she still around?
Well, I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know.
Let's go to the telephone quickly. Good evening.
Jeff Charles in Great Barbados Street.
Yes.
See that step going up by the old credit union there?
Right.
I think it's very ways of when I was going to grammar school.
That's correct.
He had one brother called Bowie Charles, who was in England. His father was the editor of the Herald.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Nice information, though.
Nice information.
Yeah, that he says that he was on Great Marlborough Street. As a matter of fact, he said where the credit union is. So it means that house that just was engulfed in fire, that's where he's actually talking about, on the corner of hills of Great Marlborough Street and Upper Lane. I hope that I have the direction correct, because that's the only other big step on Great Marlborough Street besides the one higher up, closer to the financial center. But if he speaks about the step, if he speaks about the step by the old credit union, that's the only step I can visualize.
Okay.
There. And he said something again that he
said his father was the editor of one of the newspapers.
The Herald, yes.
The Herald.
The Herald,
you know, so he also was a goalkeeper for the grammar school and for Blackburns.
Someone said that Susan is his wife's name, so maybe that's the lady that he got married to.
Maybe. So I knew him very well, very well. I can still see that dark face, always smiling with that white teeth, those white teeth. So he was a very well-respected broadcaster, and people always listened to him.
And that is at the genesis of broadcasting in Dominica. Where you had Dominicans, so he would have had people like Joan Prevost, Dennis Joseph, I think, started on air. I'm not sure that he started on air. I think Dennis would have been involved in marketing, in sales, and later became the manager. But before Dennis, you had Barney Defoe. So after Jeff Charles left, you had Barney Defoe, who held the fort for about a year or so, a year and a half, and then then Dennis Joseph became manager.
I believe that Jeff moved men to DBS. If I'm wrong, somebody can correct me. There were some radical teachers at the time at the Dominica Grammar School. Some radical teachers. You're talking about Charles Savrin. You're talking about Clayton Shillingford. You're talking about Jeff Charles. And you're talking about Mr. Richards, who was a maths teacher. Clayton was a science teacher. Jeff Charles. I don't know what Jeff taught, but I know Charles taught geography. And those fellas were giving the government at the time, they perceived them to be revolutionaries at the grammar school.
Are you talking about the Libla government?
Yes.
Right.
But
Libla was in close communication with Jeff Charles.
Right. So those guys.
From document I would have read, I would have seen manager designate at the time the kind of communication that he had with both Libla. As a matter of fact, Libla would have written to him on a number of occasions on some matters, and the cabinet secretary. Right. And for me, they were all positives.
Well, I don't. Somebody can correct me at the time, but I know he just didn't leave the grammar school to just take up the job as an announcer.
You forget Papa D.
And Papa D was another one who taught me.
Because you remember that there's a big issue with Papa D in the mid-70s.
Yeah, Papa D taught us English and English literature. And so he himself was booted out of the grammar school for spreading this type of radical ideology.
But wasn't Papa D also at DBS Radio?
Yeah, he was at DBS.
Right.
Yeah,
so Papa D was at DBS Radio.
Papa D, yeah.
Let's someone's on the line. Let's see what the person has to say. Good evening to you, caller. You're live.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, I can only add, I knew Mr. Charles very well. When he got married to Mrs. Charles Susan, they moved into 10 Canal Lane in Woodville.
That's right.
Their next-door neighbors, their immediate next-door neighbors, was Mr. and Mrs. Robert Minard.
Yes.
And there was an empty lot between their house and what would later become the M&D house, which is Father Coffey's family property.
That's correct.
And Mr. Charles and Mrs. Charles were one of the nicest neighbors you ever wanted to have. In fact, Mrs. Charles was teaching at prep convent, and Mr. Charles would bring us home from school when he picked up Mrs. Charles with their first daughter, Anthea. And I always remember as children, we could run in and out of their house like it was our house. And as the girls came, there was Yvonne who came after Anthea. And I know there were 4 girls, and in between there was a little baby that passed. Anyway, moving on from there, Mrs. Charles had a brother, and he would always come to visit her, Victor Badwell. And I think he has a son with Hannah Clarendon. That was the first time I knew that guy.
Dr. Badwell, yes. He was a doctor.
Dr. Victor Badwell. I think he was a doctor in agriculture.
Agriculture, yes, you're correct.
And later, I kind of got to know him, sort of, because of my friendship with my husband, who was my current husband. But Mr. Charles, one of the little-known facts about Mr. Charles, apart from the fact that he worked in the little room behind the library, which was Wibbs Dominica. That was where Wibbs Dominica was, behind the public library, a little room. And when we would be at
was it downstairs of the library? Was it downstairs of the library?
No, on the side of the library.
No.
On the side.
On the side. I don't know if the library ever had a downstairs. But the library had an adult section.
That's right.
They had a children's section. Sister Nats used to work there. Thomas Baptist's wife used to be working there. Mrs. Rita Revere was the chief librarian at the time. Her younger sister Cynthia worked there. That was when I was going to the library as a child. You had to go around the veranda, and there was a little room, and that's where Wibbs Dominica was. And that's where Mr. Charles used to work. And I know that from being in the library again, my days as a Brownian girl guide, because meeting was in the yard of the library. But Mr. Charles was very, very warm and always smiling. And that house that he lived in, his brother would come to visit him, I don't know who was younger, Maurice Charles. He was married to a Bajan woman, and he was always in 10 Canal Lane. But one of the facts that probably a lot of people may not know about Jeff Charles, you remember they had what people like to refer to as the SMA revolt?
Yes.
Yeah.
The SMA uprising?
Yes.
There was a meeting in the parish hall after the demonstration. The church, parents, everybody was in there. And the guys in SMA who were involved in that is their story. They can tell you that. But I know about it because my mother was obviously in the meeting at the time. And all hell broke loose after that meeting with parents and their children, because that was turmoil where a lot of people thought the boys were against the church. It was all kind of things. You guys know the details of that period. And after that meeting, it was Jeff Charles who sent a message to the SMA Student Council, letting them know that he had heard all kinds of stories and all kinds of rumors, and he think it is only fitting that the students have a voice. And it was Jeff Charles who sent the message to the SMA Student Council, and about 7 of them met in DBS. He allowed all 7 to come into the room, and they agreed that 2 would speak. They wanted one guy from Roseau and one guy who was from the country. And the 2 guys who spoke was Percival Murray, who was the president of the student council at the time, and Gregory Rabes Washler, who was living in the SMA hostel right next to the cemetery. And that is the SMA boy's story to tell, but I know that for a fact. He was the one who gave the boys a voice and let them tell their side of the story. He was a very unbiased journalist, and Dominica has not seen the likes of Jeff Charles since. And that's all I wanted to add, because I know Mr. Charles both as a neighbor, as a friend, and professionally from just watching him in all the areas that he performed.
As a broadcaster,
Go ahead.
as a broadcaster, especially doing sports commentary, what did you make of him, or what did you make of him?
Oh, listen, when Jeff Charles took that mic, we were little. At that time, I think I was still probably first, second form. And they used to give us half day school when it was cricket. And stores would close a little early. And when Jeff Charles took that mic, we used to just make sure we were in the gardens. We were not really even sometimes going to watch cricket, but his voice was a magnet. And you know what was really nice about him as a neighbor? Mr. Charles would get out of his car. If he was coming into the street and children were playing, he would literally stop for us to finish what we were doing and then park his car. When he moved the car, we used to have our little hopscotch. You know, when children would play hopscotch, we would do it in the little patch where his car would be. And some neighbors, because not many people had cars at that time, some neighbors you couldn't go close to their car. But Mr. Charles, I'm telling you, every child on the street felt welcome in their home. And as the kids were getting a little older, we would go up, bring them down on the streets, and then we'd bring Anthea and Yvonne back. The little ones came after, but Anthea and Yvonne, the two first children, were the ones that we would be, having among us. And I only met Mr. Charles once after he left Dominica. He was going home for his mom's funeral. And when I got off the plane at Melvin, I realized it was him in front of me. And I ran up to him and he looked at me. He wasn't quite sure who I was. But when I told him, he said, "Oh my God." And then he said, "How is Mommy?" And I told him she was doing fine. He was with his daughter, Yvonne. Yvonne is the one that looks just like him. Tall, dark, and she was more Mrs. Charles. But Yvonne looked just like Mr. Charles. And they were lovely, lovely neighbors, just nice people. And Mrs. Charles would always lean on Mrs. Maynard, because she was very young when they came to live there. I think they were just married. And she would always come out and ask Mrs. Maynard questions, because Mrs. Maynard had many grown children and was still making children with Mrs. Charles. So that's how I know them, but Mr. Charles was just phenomenal. And the lady who ran Carnival Corner, Norma Shillingford, I think she was Mr. Charles' sister. And I found that out later. I didn't know that as a child growing up, but later, when she moved, I think Carnival Corner had their costume building things under that house in Canal Lane at some point, and Norma was living upstairs. And I remember, I think it was my mom who told me, Norma is Mr. Charles' sister. Yeah, but he was just an exceptional human being. I don't know if he was radical. I cannot tell you that. Brain probably would know that part of it. But I know he was very, very, very understanding, and he gave the SMA students a voice when the country was about to destroy them. Thanks for giving me time, and I think I have to.
Before you go quickly, I'm forced to ask you: would you remember the people that worked with Jeff Charles?
I know. I think Dennis Joseph was at the radio station very early, but DBS opened when I think I was in first or second form. But I know they moved from that little room in the library. I remember Papa D being there because they used to have a youth program on Saturday mornings. I don't remember the name of that youth program, but all young people used to tune in. Papa D was working there at the time. And I think Auntie Joan, this is called Joan Seaman.
Yes.
And I think people refer to her as Auntie Joan, and that's about.
What about Alvin Knight?
I was just going to say, I'm not sure if Alvin Knight was there with him, but I know Alvin Knight was there with Dennis Joseph.
Bernard Defoe?
Oh, yeah, Bernard Defoe. Bernard Defoe was in the little room behind the library in Weebs, Dominica. And I remember Sister Nats was a librarian at the time, but Bernard Defoe was in that little room. And you know who used to, I'll tell you another person I remember as a child that used to, I'm not sure if, I think he used to work with Dominical. That man they used to call Lale Coco.
Oh,
He was
Mr.
married
Andre.
He was, he
Mr.
was
Andre,
married to
Lolly Coco.
Annie
Andre.
Annie Collier used to play netball, and her sister Rosaline used to play too. Rosaline and Annie Collier, and Lale Coco used to be. He used to make announcements during the Queen Show. He was one of the announcers during Queen Show. I think he used to work with Jeff Charles in that little room back there. I don't know where they are now. I think it's Canada. I don't even know if he's alive. But I remember Mr. Andre used to work with Jeff Charles.
That's good.
And that's my little spiel.
That's
Thank
good
you.
information.
Thank you.
And I wish some other persons could call in and to give us some of that information.
But she's right.
Yes.
Because I remember when I
Thank
used
you
to-
very much.
Mhm. I remember when I used to go.
I'm absolutely certain about what I'm telling you. I have a friend that tell me your memory is scary, but I know because not only I was around Mr. Charles as a neighbor, but I was also around him when Weebs, because every Monday and Friday we were in that library yard with Teacher Rose as brownies and guides. So I was always around the area. That's why those things are etched in my mind.
Well, I know Jeff died at the age of 88. So it would have meant that you two might be in your 70s, mid-70s.
No, I'm not there yet.
She's
I'm not
60.
there yet, but
She's in 60s.
I'm not there yet because not there yet, but I can remember because remember Mr. Charles became my neighbor when I was about 7.
Oh, okay. That makes some sense, yeah.
And he was just married.
Mm.
And when I was a child in prep convent, his wife was a teacher.
Mm.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, then.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah,
Have a
if
good
you
night.
feel, and if you want to call in again, you can
You
do
can
just
do
that.
Yeah.
No, I had enough for the night. I have to look for somebody else.
Thank you.
All right.
I remember.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
I remember going to the library when I used to. I had a thing I enjoyed looking at was Look and Learn. Look and Learn. It's a nice large magazine, and I went there to read it. And also the Hardy Boys at the time was just coming in, and I knew in that little room by the library, on the side there, on what I would call the veranda, facing the Fort Young Hotel, on that side was the little room where Weebs operated from.
So that room is still there, I think.
Yes,
That room
I
is
think it
still
used to be an area
It's an extension of the library.
of the library.
Yes.
At one time, I know, for instance, people used to be doing the cataloging of the books.
Mm-hmm.
So I know very well, as she mentioned, the
And it looks like Mrs. Baptist would have stayed there for a very long time.
long time. And
Because-
not only that, fellas would go and swing on the tree. There was a tree.
Underneath the pond.
Yeah, and I believe that Roy Mason fell below there one time.
Below?
Yeah.
Roy Mason's sister is listening every night.
I
So
believe.
I would
I
like her
believe
to
he
call
fell-
to give us
I
that
believe
fact.
he fell there one time because the guys used to play Tarzan.
Uh-huh.
At the time, Tarzan movies were very popular,
Mm-hmm.
and when guys come, they would take this long rope hanging.
And you're
from the
telling me he
tree.
dropped on the
Somebody
bank
dropped
of
below. I
the
believe he fell below there.
On
One
the
of them
seashore?
fell below there.
of
Right.
the seashore?
He fell on a tube.
That's high?
I think he fell on a, what is it? A tire.
On a tire?
Some tires.
That's angel.
Yeah.
That's an angel.
Yeah, I think so. Because
I-
guys
I-
would swing
I
over there.
would like
and
Roy's
come back.
I would like Roy's
swing
sister to give
over
me a
and come
call.
back.
I know that she's tuned at this time.
Right,
The sister in the United States, and also the sister who lives on Solomon Lane.
Somebody fell below. I believe it was he mentioned to me.
Roy Mason.
Somebody fell below. I believe it was Roy.
And there was this popular pond.
Yeah, the pond was there. That's the pond. That's the big tree. I believe it's still there.
The tree is still there today.
Yeah, but there was long ropes where kids would just come and just swing.
There's
over.
one in Gardens.
Yeah, there's one like it in the gardens. Yeah.
Beard tree.
Mhm.
The beard tree.
So the library, held Weebs, and Jeff was there with Lally Coco, I believe. There was also our good friend Havy Shillingford, Bernard Defoe. I remember seeing those guys there inside. I never remember seeing any woman inside there myself, just men. So I do not know whether they had a secretary. And from there, they moved to another location.
Okay. That's some good information that this young lady gave to us, about Jeff Charles. Some information that many of us would not have known, especially hearing about the boys, the 7 boys that he would have taken to his office to have conversation with. And I like what she said, how she concluded the story by saying 7 boys that the country could have destroyed. And it took Jeff Charles, unbiased attitude to have given them a voice.
And she mentioned 2 of them.
Yeah, that is very, very good.
Percival Marie, who later became an economist operating in Ghana, and Ella Washler, who wrote several poems. Is still here? Is he still in the country? Washler is still here in Atkinson.
Yeah, he's in Atkinson.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these were the radicals at the time, 7 radicals.
I think one of these days, I really like to have a conversation. I try to sometimes want to speak to Birdie Shillingford on that the whole system of radicalism. I would want to also speak to Rabes on the situation in St. Mary's Academy. I think I have his number, so I'll call him one of these days to see if he can give me that story, because that's a story that many people have heard of, but may not have known the exact story. Go ahead.
And that radical movement also took the grammar school, because guys revolted against the tie. So at a certain point in time, our uniform, we did not have the tie anymore. The boys in 1st, 2nd, 3rd form had the short tie, and the guys in 4th, 5th form and 6th form used the dress tie. So I know at one time, in this late 60s, 69, thereabout, guys revolted against the tie and they moved to the shirt jack.
Okay.
But now they've since moved back to using the tie.
Oh, that was in
the grammar school.
Yes.
Radicalism moved from the SMA into the grammar school, because there was a whole Black Power movement at the time and Black consciousness.
Well, I'm just learning that the person who called, and sometimes people have to understand that we are not detecting voices all the time.
Yeah, we don't know.
So someone called, and it happened to have been the sister of Roy Mason. I cannot know that it's the sister of Roy Mason. I don't like the tone that the person is giving on social media. Yeah. Like, I should know. And I realize that person has a beef with me. And I don't know why that beef is on so often every week.
I know.
But God is good anyway.
We don't know the voices.
I don't know the voices. So if I knew of the voice, I would say to the person, I would call the person's name, and I would say to the person, can you call me back to give me some information on your brother? So please forgive me. I do not know voices all of the time. So hold your opinion for yourself, that person. I'm not going to call your name, because I've seen for some weeks now, you trying to create some kind of layaway with me, and I'm not prepared for that at my age. So hold your beef for yourself, hold your hate talk for yourself, hold whatever you have for yourself. All right? I just want you to know that, okay?
Yes.
I'm not a person that's going to fight with people at my age. I don't have time for that. I don't want to take advantage of the radio that I have to give you a response or your responses, because I've seen you and I've been monitoring you for the number of weeks. Hold your side and I'll hold my side. You have not been my friend, I'm not your friend. So, thank you. I can say that much. Yes. So.
Yeah, So I think Jeff, you moved on to become a Dr. Jeff Charles, especially in the field of telecommunication, more or less dealing with satellite radio stations and so forth. So he moved beyond just being a broadcaster here in Dominica, and when he migrated to the United States, he moved on to become a doctor in the field of broadcasting and telecommunication.
But I know growing up as a boy, I heard my mother and my father spoke highly of this man,
Yes.
I never met him. I wish I did. But I know I have spoken to him a number of times on a number of issues and that deals with broadcasting. And so I must say he is and was a man of high esteem and great respect in terms of broadcasting in the early days.
Yes. So, yeah, that's an icon. Yes, Cecil, I don't know whether you want to move on to another.
Yes, we can move
great
on.
Man who
yes.
we have a lot of respect for, And I'm talking about Mr. Algernon Charter. Well, he's passed on, and I think he was a great pioneer in terms of prison life and how he tried to reform the prison and the inmates to make them better. Algernon Charter, do you know that guy?
Of course. Who doesn't know that stumpy, tall, lanky individual in the person of Algernon Charter? He was responsible for the prison for a number of years.
Yeah, he spent his life trying to prove that a prison could be more than a warehouse for the poor and the broken. So he tried to reform the prison. And I know he introduced quite a number of skills. I mean, he got a lot of blows for that at the beginning. Because I used to hear people say, Charter Quena, he bring in the prison as a nice time, and Charter turning the prison into a hotel now, man. Fellas just there relaxing and glooning, getting out, and just having a good time. He came in for a lot of heavy blows at the time, because people at the time saw prisoner as a place where you go not to be reformed, but prison supposed to break your back.
It's a punishment.
When you leave prison, you're supposed not to want to come back there. I mean, the old superintendents had that idea. You know, I'm not going to call names. Lakou Podcast. So your mother would tell you, if you don't behave yourself when you go to the prison, they're going to break your back.
How was Mr. Blah then? That's old Blah.
Old Blah? Boy, you don't joke with Blah, no. You don't joke with Blah. You don't joke with Blah. I wouldn't call other fellas' name, but at the time, when you went to the prison, you went there to serve your time, and you don't want to come back there again. The prison wanted to make sure when you come back there, whatever you get inside that prison, you don't want to come back in that prison. You're supposed to free prison, Cecil.
John Baptist in Antigua and Barbuda said good night to you.
Right. So I know, I mean, your mother would tell, so jouer mauvais, l'argent le képon.
Oh yes, that was a very popular term when I was growing up.
Oh yes.
So jouer mauvais, so quoi mauvais. L'argent au pont. Ça is affaire.
And you know what this fellas would do? In the old times, my brother, you go by the river and you start cutting wood. You cutting wood. The truck, you come in your truck, you have a blue shirt, you have a blue pants.
Short blue pants,
short blue pants. And the truck passing with you, everybody seeing you. And then when they put you down, you do your twice. You have your cutlass in your hand and they're watching you, so you're down by the river. So all those big bushes sitting by the river there, that would be the work for the prisoner. On the other side, prison. Rolling Stone prison. Cutting Wood prison. So when you come out there, you become a big man, strong muscles, because the prison was like that. But Charter bring a sort of reform.
I want to know, during the time of Blah, there was we normally call it the madhouse. That's how they normally say it in those days. There used to have St. Luke's. You remember St. Luke's?
Yeah.
You remember St. Luke's?
Yeah.
It was called St. Luke's what?
It was called, I think my auntie was there. We used to call it St. Luke's.
St. Luke's.
So when
you hear St. Luke's, you know it's a madhouse.
Yeah, so my auntie used to have a spell, and they would bring her there, and we would go and see her.
And a lot of people may not know that the psychiatric unit used to be adjacent, if you want to say, not opposite, not adjacent, stuck up to the prison walls.
Yes.
I do not know if it's on the charter that the transfer went. You can maybe help me on that.
Yes, I believe it's on the charter that they moved the prison, the madhouse, they would call it at the time, to the hospital section. I believe it's during his time. Because at the time, when Bland, those guys were there, Mr. Clark, the madhouse, they would call it, not St. Luke's. That was the name you archive for Jean Fou. So when you go there, they say, you went to the madhouse. But then they start to reform that, and they say you went to St. Luke's. So nobody knew that you're suffering with mental thing, because people say you're mad, you fool. So you go there.
Yeah.
So that there has been he brought some reform. He brought a lot of reform.
And they took that space. The prison would have taken that space to do some other skills, I think, for the inmates.
Yes.
You know? So if Chatter was the one responsible for that I must say is a telling story.
Right.
In his legacy.
His legacy
as head of the prison department.
Chatter, who led the Dominica State Prison for more than 2 decades and worked in the prison system for over 30 years. That's a long time, man.
It's a long time.
But if you work in a prison for 30 years, as though you're a prisoner too, eh?
Mm-hmm. You are.
Because 30 years inside that place, you have to be strong, because you have fellas that kill people there. You have mad people there. You have fellas on remand there. Dangerous fellas, fellas in the block.
So you have to be both mad,
right,
and to be a prisoner to be in that place,
right.
Because having to be dealing with these kinds of people at the time, when they are out there, you do not know what's in their mind. So it means that you would have had to do something very special,
right,
for persons not to threaten your life.
Right.
I'd maybe like to find out from family and friends what would be his experience when he speaks with them about his life in prison.
And not only that, he would have witnessed executions. Because when they have to hang you, it's up there. So they build the gallows right up there.
So the last execution that happened in the 80s. Did we have someone coming to DBS Radio on our program talking about the last execution that they saw?
I know the last execution that took place from a historical point of view was Mr. Newton.
Mr. Newton.
Major
Yes.
Newton.
I think we had someone on the Lakou program,
Mm-hmm.
or if not, someone had that conversation with me of how the situation I think it's on Lakou program.
Right. I believe he may have seen 2 executions. I guess he would have seen the execution of Cadet.
Cadet, yes, and Newton.
And Newton.
Because Cadet would have been in the late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I think late 70s.
Mm-hmm. So when you're the prisoner, head of the prisoners, you'd be, you would have seen all those things happening. You'd be seeing the prisoner, you'd be seeing all the different prisoners that would come for different, type of
But I don't
crime.
think he was the head of the prison in the time when Newton got hanged.
No, he would have been working
He'd been a
there
member.
at the time.
He'd just been a member of staff.
Yeah,
Yes.
member of staff. So he would have seen, because 30 years working there, he would have seen a lot of things.
Oh, I think it was Mr. Lufa who said, someone just said to me, I think it's Mr. Lufa who made mention of the hanging in the prison.
Okay. Because they say here that Chatter joined the prison service in 1976.
Right, so that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very long time.
That's a very, very long time.
And,
So
and that experience that he would have had would have helped him to really transform the prison. And as time goes by, things are changing, society is changing, and he would have been given some kind of training, or he would have visited some other prison cells or prison areas
Right.
In the region and other parts of the world. And so he would have been impressed and wanted to do some change for Dominica.
But hear what they say here. The prison was built in 1954 to hold 84 inmates, and most of them poor and illiterate,
Mm-hmm.
with little regards for rehabilitation. You hear that?
Mm-hmm.
So nobody going to rehabilitate you when you get inside there.
Mm-hmm.
So Chatter is the man who started to rehabilitate prisoners, to make them believe that after you leave the prison, you can be a better person. So he started to develop skills.
And two, you have to maybe look at the person's background. Chatter came from Maho, I think. And I think his background would have been important for him to have helped others to transform their lives from where they were to when they enter into the prison gates, to give them that opportunity when they get out there for people to have a different view.
Sure,
because when you went to the prison in those days, in the early days, that the society itself tarnished you, and that was it for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know I saw prisoners. I don't know whether you saw it as well. They had a sort of cart with iron wheels.
The cat that they used to pull from
You
the
one
behind
man
and
at
they pull from top.
Yeah.
You're at the front and it has two big wheels, huge
Two wheels.
and there's some things that you could put a key in or you
Yeah,
could put,
I saw them.
Yes.
I saw them. I saw them I saw some prisoners pushing that.
Someone just corrected me and said that it was Evans John who made mention of that on our program. Because I know that was discussed once on our program.
The show, yes.
Yeah.
So Cecil, they would do that. Not only that, they would I see them using the axe to split wood.
Oh yes, I see that. I saw that myself.
Yeah, because remember you have to bake in the prison.
Mm-hmm.
So the prisoners would be 6 o'clock. You lock up,
And the way that I remember seeing the prison in the 80s, going up to St. Luke's, because as a Seventh-day Adventist, every Sabbath afternoon, our job was to go to St. Luke's and to visit the inmates at the psychiatric unit, and we would have had the opportunity sometimes to give a track or two to the inmates of the prison.
Okay.
And the walls of the prison was totally different that we now see. You had fences. You didn't have a block like we're seeing now. We were not seeing at the time playing fields as we now seeing. So Chatter would have been responsible for that for sure under his watch. And I think even in building the staff around him as the chief of the prison, he would have built some good men. I think quite a number of those guys who worked with him can attest to the kind of man that Chatter was.
Yeah.
The other thing that Chatter did, he was a chief judge in Calypso. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I remember him. He liked his calypso.
Yeah, and he was one of the guys when he and Pembo, whenever you want to judge a good calypso that was melodious, you would have to look up to the judges, and Chatter and Pembo would always have their pencil knocking on the desk that they were judging. So it would a good sense of, that's a nice song that is resonating in the judge head.
Right. Under his watch, I know that many, I think Mr. Lufa may have done some teaching at the state prison too, where inmates were able to write their school leaving certificate, which would be junior secondary program, school leaving. And I know he started programs in GC or CXC for inmates. So you had some inmates who, through his reform programs, that inmates were able to, some of them even studied law, and some even studied for their CXCs and GC whilst they were in prison.
So before you do that, someone just said something here. I really would like to read it. It's rather important about Jeff Charles. The person said that Jeff Charles worked at the BBC between 74 to 75, because I think he left Dominica late 73, 75, 74. And he was a commentator during the 1975 World Cup. He was the commentator at the time when Alvin Kalisharam put the batting onslaught on Dennis Lilly, and then subsequently left BBC and migrated to California. That's what the person just said.
Very nice.
That's a nice information.
That's a nice bit of it.
Let's hope that everything that he said is factual.
Yes.
I'll have to maybe try to go back to the World Cup of 75
and to
see if I would have heard the voice of Jeff Charles.
There was another important OECS.
Someone just said to me, Kelvin Francis. He just sent me a message, Kelvin Francis. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kelvin. He said, I was the one who told you about the execution at the prison. And if memory, that is correct. Is he?
Yes, is he?
It's not Evans John.
Evans John. It was Kelvin Francis.
Kelvin
Francis.
Thank you very much, Kelvin.
Thank you very much
for clarifying that for us, Kelvin. Thank you,
my brother.
And the importance of the social media.
Right. And Kelvin himself would have gone to school with, if my memory serves, with Mr. Chatter, because a lot of us went to the Chateau. Mr. Chatter went to Chateau. Mm-hmm. He was my classmate at the Chateau.
Chatter or Kelvin?
No, Chatter.
Okay.
I
What
think
do you make of Chatter while going to the chateau?
a very quiet guy, very, very focused guy. Always like his education. Very quiet though. Very quiet man. But he is the main one responsible for transforming the prison into not really a prison like we see it, hard, rough, bend your back. He reformed the prison in terms of giving skills and giving you a sense that you would be able to continue life after prison. Very interesting.
Yeah. Before I say what I'm going to say, let's take a telephone call. Good evening to you, caller.
Good evening.
Good evening to you, caller. You're live. Good evening, caller. You're alive. You can
talk. The person will call back. Yes.
Okay, call back, caller. I'm sorry about that. So Alvin, Mr. Chatter, played his role. Someone is calling back. Let's see what the person has to say. Good evening to you, caller.
Yes, Cecil.
Good evening.
I'm happy that Mr. Francis sent you the information. But if you looked on your chat, I did confirm that it was Kelvin. But that's all good. And I don't have much to say about those guys, but I just can precisely say they were great men. Great men. And I think Mr. Chandler took over from Mr. Clark.
That's
Randy
right.
Clark.
Yes.
Yeah, he was Mr. Clark later became my boss at the PM's office. And he can say, yes, he did a lot. And Mr. Charles, his legacy will live on. Great radio personality, and especially when it comes to sports. There's no one like him. Even if we try to be, there's no one like him. Sorry to say it that way, but that's
not even Aussie?
And that's the way it is.
Not even Aussie?
Aussie is good, but like you said, Mr. Charles, yeah, Mr. Habition Board, all those who came after, or who were with him at the time.
Right.
This guy was eloquent. He was just right. He could take you from the market to bring you the gardens. And the best thing about it is, at the end of the day, the game summary, they had that pavilion, that little wooden structure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was open. You could stand up at the front and the end of the Windward Island games and listen to the guy speak. He was just a brilliant man. So may his soul rest in eternal peace. Condolences and sympathies to all bereaved.
Thank you.
We lost a great Dominican gentleman.
Yeah.
God bless you guys.
Yes.
Great program. Thank you.
Thanks. If it's one thing, though, I can say that Dominicans, when we speak about Mr. Chatter and Jeff Charles, Dominicans spoke about them highly. So Chatter, before he would have closed his eyes, he would have gotten his sheer fear of kudos from the general public. So I know he died in peace, knowing that Dominicans did appreciate, even the inmates themselves appreciate the service that he would have given to Dominica.
Beautiful, because he could be. I think he took over from Rennie Clark.
Yes, Rennie Clark.
Right before Rennie Clark's father used to be the superintendent of prison at one time. So I think after the Clark died, Mr. Blanc took over as Rennick's father. And when Mr. Blanc died, I think Clark took over. Rennick. Rennick is still alive.
When Rennick is, he lives in Trafalgar or he lives in Goodwill?
No, Rennick lives in Libla Lane.
Libla Lane. So I said Goodwill. Yeah, Libla Lane.
Libla he lives.
Yes, Libla Lane. I haven't seen him for some time.
Yeah.
His wife died many years ago.
Yeah, but I think he married again.
Okay.
So
and
he's
I
right.
know the first wife that she was a teacher at the Rosa Boys School.
Yes, Miss Clark.
And she lived in Trafalgar at the time.
Trafalgar.
That's where they lived.
She was my
had
teacher
two
at
boys.
one time.
She was my teacher too.
She worked in
at
the
Rosa Boys
Chateau.
School.
And she worked at the Rosa Boys School.
She worked at the Rosa Boys School.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and you would have seen the works of Mr. Clark, because Mr. Clark was no nonsense man.
right.
Taken from his father. He too would want to break the backs of the prisoners. You have no right to be there.
I know. Not only that, his brother also worked with him. I think his brother Desmond.
You're talking about
Rennick's brother. Desmond. I can't remember whether it's Desmond Clark or maybe another surname. But he's died. He worked in the prison with his brother as well, and he also worked with Mr. Charter. He played for Combomere. So that's all I have to say about.
And I think last year, Dennis Blanc, who was also chief prison officer, passed on.
Right.
You know.
But it's very important, while it's talking about the prison, just a little divergence, that father was superintendent and son became superintendent, the Clarks. And the Blanc, father was superintendent and the son became superintendent.
Yes.
I think that's good. And the new man in charge running the prison is our friend, my good friend, Jeffrey Edmonds.
Yes, I think Jeffrey is, on the verge of retirement.
Yeah, I think he has 6 more months. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
So Jeffrey
prior
Edmonds,
to Jeffrey, you had Jacques.
Jacques, yeah.
Yes.
So Jeffrey Edmonds is now the man in charge of the prison. Right? And so I don't know. Very interesting. And I think he's continuing the reform. That Mr.
Actually, someone said his name was Desmond Martin.
Desmond Martin.
I didn't know which Desmond you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes,
Desmond Martin. Man. That's Rennick's brother.
Yeah. Desmond, by mother.
By mother.
Yes. Yeah. Desmond was no nonsense, eh?
Radical, eh?
Oh,
Ian Pishy.
Yes.
Radical fellas at the prison.
Pishy was his brother?
No, was a good friend of theirs. They played football together. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
So Mr. Algernon Chatter really helped.
No, I'm seeing that they're talking about putting detectors in the prison. You know, so the image of the prison is getting better. You are hearing less of confrontation between prisoners and officers. It seems that the kind of relationship that Mr. Chatter wanted is now actually reaching its goal, and that is important. The kind of relationship between the inmates and the officers.
Right. Working in a prison could be a very dangerous place to be. Eh?
It is.
Yeah, because you have all types of characters there. So being in a prison, if you're not treating the prisoners well, you never know what they might be planning for you when they come out. You know, so you have to be able to treat them in a human manner, because they can remind you how much you put licks on them inside the prison. So you have to know, and I think Mr. Charter understood that quite well, so he tried his best to reform. Although many Dominicans were not happy with that, because they saw prison as a place to really break you, as I said early on. You don't want to come back.
And then we would have seen on television the life of some prisoners, or many prisoners in the United States, and we would have seen where Chatter is actually coming from in trying to make the prison not a home, but a home.
A home away from home.
A home away from home.
Because at one time, I don't want to call his name, boy, he would tell the magistrate, boy, you're wasting my time, you know.
Send me up. Just send me up. You're wasting my time.
You're wasting my time. Lunches. You make me miss my lunch time.
You want to send me home at 1:30 when the lunch is over? No. Send me up.
Send me up, man, so I can have my lunch.
That's a popular guy. You know?
Don't call his name Cecil. Because you know that he saw prison as his home, man. Don't waste my time. They used to call him, don't waste my time. You're wasting my time.
So, and it's in those days too, that it I don't know if it is a rare thing now, but when guys get to the prison system, they find themselves repeating in those early days.
Well, in the early days, boy, you don't want to come back there, you know, in a hurry. You don't, because in the old days, when you get inside it, depending on your crime, especially it was for child molestation, you got the Cat O' Nine.
Yes. You mean you actually use the Cat O' Nine in Dominica?
You joke you're making, man.
I never really follow the prison, you know, so you can...
Yeah, man. You get the Cat O' Nine when you're going in, and you get the Cat O' Nine when you're coming out.
Hold on. That is brutal.
You get the cat
That's
tonight.
inhumane. No, that is inhumane.
They strip
I
you off.
come in, I get my punishment, but you can't give me
No,
punishment.
man,
I'm leaving.
They put the cat on you when you're going
That
in.
is, listen, the one stroke is 9 strokes.
9 strokes. You get the cat when you're going in. The cat on you when you're going in, and when you're coming out, you get the cat again to remind you
I want to no.
that you must not come back there again.
But guys still found themselves coming
Oh
in.
no, not in a hurry. No. That cat was enough for you to remind you. You're going in the cat for you. You're coming out the cat
So
for you.
do you know who would have been the one flogging those prison
Oh
officers?
yes.
Tell us who.
Well, I know, for instance, it was a fella. Well, I don't want to call his name.
Call him a name. Nothing bad talking about him. Call him a name.
His name I cannot remember.
Where he's from?
He lived where they have the ministry now, the financial center.
Financial center?
Yeah, he lived there.
He was a prison
He
officer?
was a very good friend of mine.
He was a prison officer?
He was a prison officer.
In
strong
Pong?
man.
In Pong?
Man. I'm not going to call his name.
No. Tell me. In
No,
Pong, you say?
Yeah, man.
I try to remember who was a
He's
prison
a
officer in
big,
Pong.
strong fella, man. My father would tell me, boy, many a fella fed him. He was.
I want if Lucia Bless is listening, I want Lucia Bless to call me and to give me that information.
Yeah, boy.
And
the cat was
if
a
Kent
reminder.
Williams is listening, I want Kent Williams to tell me
Put
who's
the
that
cat
person.
on you, man. But I don't believe they use the cat. The cat is still there, but they don't use it anymore. But it's there as a relic. You know what is they put
Yes.
it there. So when you come, you can see.
You can see it, but they're not using it now.
They're not using,
But they're not using it, but they should use it now.
No. That's what we used to use in the old days. But just be reminded.
I
if you
want
ever
to
have
know.
us to bring it back
I want to
again.
know who's that guy in Pong that was flogging the prison
He was flogging
officers.
the prisoners.
In
He was
Pong?
eating well. Yeah, man.
Who's that guy in Pong? I know.
That's your homework.
Boston wasn't a prison officer.
No.
None of the prevosts were prison officers.
There's a guy there.
None of
I
the
know.
low blacks were
I
prison
will not
officers.
call him because he has
Mr.
family.
Williams wasn't a prison
His family
officer.
is still there.
Lordy wasn't a prison. Lordy was a prison officer, by the way. Lordy. No,
I
let's play for
don't think
Celtics.
so.
Somebody
Lordy,
to help
no.
me that.
But that man, I'll let you research that one. You'll
Sandra,
find
say
out.
if you know that person in Pong, tell me.
No, I don't know.
Joe Tex, if you know that person in Pong, tell me. Huh?
Yes, Cecil, but that
No,
was
no. Tell us.
Who's Jotex?
No, not you. Tell me. Who's that
No, I'm
person?
not going to tell you, Cess.
Hmm?
You look. That's your homework. For you to discover was the cat man.
Brenda Alexander said, "Good evening, Cecil. Cecil Joseph and Bryn Adams. New York is locked in. I'm late on the show."
Yeah, the cat man, they call him.
Sandra Sear said, "Good evening, Cecil, Bryn, and everyone listening to Lakou." Carol Thomas said, "Good evening. When coming out, so you don't come back." Or she just said it.
Yeah, don't come back.
Dorin, you're living in Pong. So help me to know, Miss Dorin Jura, you are from Pong originally, so help me. Tismi not there, Tismi is there, so Tismi cannot tell me. Mopsy one more so is there, he cannot tell me. I wonder if Jennifer Nanton is listening.
The cat man come from Pong.
I wonder who is that cat
My
man.
mother told me, and they were very good friends.
That's an old time man.
Yeah, he's dead.
No, I'm talking about that must have been in the 60s.
That would be in the 50s,
But that's a long time. That's why I do
early
not know.
60s.
That's why I do not know.
Early 60s. I think they stopped beating fellas with the cat in the early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
As my memory serves me right.
And what about if you go in for theft? What happens? For volleying?
But maybe if you were, well, no, they had specific punishment for you. I know when you rape little girls, I know that was one of your punishment. The cat fall on you. So you don't, they remind you.
Someone tell me, Winnie Green, my good friend, I met her the other day. Winnie Green is saying to me, "Cecil, ask Chat GPT, it will tell you." Boy, you think they'll have that? let me try. I'm going to try. I'm going to try.
And it will tell you?
I'm going to try.
But you like.
No, I want to know who's that person, my brother.
Yeah, he's dead, man. He's
If
dead.
Winnie Green can tell me, but Winnie, I should ask you to ask Chat for me, ask Chat GDP for me now. It would help
It would be
me.
very interesting.
I really want to know.
I must ask Mr. Edmond whether they still have the cat up there. I must ask him.
Let me see if I have.
When I meet him, if they still
Yes,
have the
I have
cattle.
chat. Yes, I have chat. I have chat GPT. Let me see. It says ask what? Ask who gave who gave flogging at the prison. That time it was the Her Majesty prison, right?
Yeah, Her Majesty's
So this is
prison.
the Her Majesty prison. At the Her
Majesty's
Majesty.
prisons.
Let me just get that well.
And another one, Cecil, while you're doing your research, was that when you would go to school and you make tobacco and they catch you, you know the policemen would flog too?
I didn't know that. First time hearing this one.
Yeah, man.
And
The
the parents
police
would
flog
flog?
you, man. They bring you to the police station and you get a fine beating. So you don't make tobacco again. So they bring you inside there and you get a flogging. So very, very important. Flogging was the order of the day during the times that in the 50s and the 60s and in the 40s. You don't play the fool.
I asking Chat GDP
And you're not giving you the
he's
answer.
not giving me the answer yet,
Just keep searching. You'll find.
I wanted to tell me.
But the
Jennifer.
guy was very strong. He ate well. He was big.
It is
he had
searching.
muscles.
So long as it's searching, can't give me the answer.
Yeah.
Huh?
When we're leaving, I'll tell you. I won't tell you now.
Well, you're not nice, man. The man is dead a long time.
No, I'm not telling you. His family's still alive.
That's fine. The man wasn't doing anything wrong. He was just correcting this society. So it says that there's very little publicity available in historical documentation naming the specific officer.
Right.
So it doesn't say that.
It covers you, man.
Wow.
Covers you.
And it says
Yes.
that the prison system was not, from colonial period, was not well documented online. And no verification of historical source I could find to identify individuals responsible for the abuse of beating the
Yeah, okay, good. Right. In the early days, when my father himself talking about prison and police life, when the Lakou, if you had no GC,
Okay.
no school living,
I'll just be a bad boy then.
so you have to be able to read and write. You have to be about 5'11", 6 feet, between 5'10" and 6 feet, strong. And one of the criteria was you have to be able to hurl stones.
So you have to work that hard?
Yeah, you have to be able to throw stones.
You have to work that hard?
Yeah. You know what they used to call it? Fizzy Pomaliwi.
Oh, that is what it meant. Corn of the poor man.
Right, the gun of the poor man.
Because in those days, guys out there used to send serious stones.
Serious stones. So you as a police officer
had to send stones.
so if a fella throws stones behind you, you have to be in a position to hurl stones at him as well.
That's a job.
So you had to. So you will
So
not only be practicing
So
with your.
you're trying to tell me by the prison had quite a lot of stones then?
So a police officer I'm talking about, he had to be able to hurl stones.
So you tell me all of those had stones then?
Yeah.
So when a partner running, it's not gunshot.
You're gunshot.
You have to
take
pick up
your
stone and
stone
sell
and
at
hurl
man.
at him. And you have to be accurate to throw him down.
You know, Rosu guys were good at that, because if we had to take stones and a big ass is such a distance away from us, and we had to send stone at the big ass, and most time when the big ass sees the stone, it will try to fly away. But we would get the big ass.
So you don't understand why they had the concept of fizzy poor Maliwe?
Yes, I understand the concept.
The concept is simply that you don't want to fire a shot at the guy, so you hurl a stone at him.
Those that didn't have no guns.
Well, they had their gun.
They had guns?
Yeah, they had their 303s, they had their rifles. But you had one
Free
of
or
the
free?
things.
303?
Yeah,
Well, let me tell you,
303s.
303 is not an easy gun.
Yeah, your 303s.
For a police have a 303.
Or your
No,
pistol.
I don't think the police would have had 303.
Well, I mean, if, for instance, they go out there
That's for
riot.
For riot.
But they would have their, what do you call their 45s?
The 45.
Yeah, the 45s. Did you ever see them with their 45? And some of them rode,
I've seen so many 45s.
and
in
some
my
of them,
lifetime.
and some of them rode on horseback.
Yes.
So the police also had horses.
Like in gardens, I know that I was told in the 50s, 60s that the security officer used to be on the horseback, from riding from one end to the other. So the police is telling me he used to also do that.
Yeah, they had their stable, they had horses as well. So
No, would you know of the prison on Cork Street?
yes.
Tell us a little bit.
Well, I know the prison was there because the wall.
Just before you say that, someone is saying that he knows that. No, he said, I think Mr. Chatter was born in Curaçao. I don't know how factual it is. Someone can help us. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the only remnants I saw of it was the big wall at the back of
Karam, Astafans.
That's where I knew that they told me that the prison was.
Well, I was told about it. The people
I know there was
and I think Renick Thomas. I asked him the last time, and he couldn't give any information on that.
And there's another one I know. I asked. That was when I saw the wall where the Garaways have the Garaways
Hotel?
in the little street.
Gary's Hotel by the
No,
market?
the hotel where the Garaways have their home, where the guy used to cut the glass.
You're talking about on that
big
little
wall
street by Maliwadia.
Yeah.
By
The wall
Continental.
there used to be a
So
prison.
it's between the two Garaway buildings, two Garaway stores, the Spear Spat stores.
The wall
One is
used to be
Gary
there.
Enterprises, or the wall about Gary Enterprises. Yeah.
A prison
Garaway.
used to be there.
Yes. A prison used to be there. I think that guy who played for the Exile 1, Wallace, used to be living there. His sister, I think, lived there.
There used to be a prison there.
You serious? That's the first time I'm hearing that.
If you read the Dominica story.
Can anybody certify that for me? Give us a call, or you can inform us on WhatsApp. Someone is saying that someone said that he thinks that Chatter was born in Curaçao. Another person said St. Vincent. So we'll get the correct information, I'm sure, by the night, right before the night ends. So you're telling me that the prison walls was in the middle of Roseau in those days.
The prison walls, and it would surprise you as well if I told you, whilst talking about Roseau and talking historical, that the Roseau River used to come down King
In the middle
Joseph
of King Joseph Street, yes, I know that.
Right?
Yeah, I know that. That I know. But I'm trying to wonder if that will if the Roseau River will ever take its course again.
Right, because when they were building that store where what's his name now? Where that old lady has a house there. When they were building, you saw some old bottles and stuff from the Roseau River, and all the pebbles were there. So the Roseau River used to pass down in that street, right in front of that lady's house.
You said that earlier on that at the prisons that they used to flog guys for molesting people's children.
Yeah, flog them.
Flogging them. Now, what about castration? Never had that at the prison?
But I know of one castration I know. But I would not call the guy's name. I know of he was castrated. But I do not think he was castrated.
That guy is still alive.
You know he died.
He died? You sure?
Yeah. He's a guy whose name begins with C.
Well, I know of one name, maybe nickname begins with B.
That one I know, for instance, because he had gone to tackle a lady next to us in Stable Street, a woman called Marcia, and I know he had his balls removed.
I know of one guy name begins with B, and he's still alive, and he was being castrated many years ago. He's still alive.
But for molestation?
Someone says to me, "But Winnie, you're not easy, no girl." Winnie says, "I'm going to throw out some names," and she started to call names. I'm not in that, if you Winnie. Winnie, I'm not going to call names.
So yeah.
And the C name is dead. You said, right? The C name is dead.
Yeah. Don't call his name.
But as a matter of fact, I'm doing a program. Everybody know that, man. That's old news. I'm doing a program, and I'm trying to get a recording where he used to say, I am Itty Göttish, I am Itty Göttish, I am Itty Göttish. You know who's that?
I don't call it.
But my name is Cyril, boy. I mean, everybody know that.
I know.
Cyril.
Yeah, so I know a couple guys.
Yes, so
in my
know,
time,
yes,
so I don't know whether there were more. So it's in the historical documents. Because that's what they would do you, but it's not in the prison. They did it in the hospital.
So some people, one person is saying that, Ambrose Thomas is saying that, right, was Astafans is the same place as the present police station. Their prison was next to the cell when the entrance to the police station on King George V Street, please, not King George Street, it's King George V Street. So you're saying to me, you see where the gate is of the police station on King George V Street, that gate. It was right adjacent to Astafan's wall. So at that time, where you see Astafans giving their paper back, where Astafans is now storing your bags when you come.
That's right.
That little area there was the place where they were storing the bags. And right next to it was the charge office. I know that for sure. Right next to it was the charge office where you see the gate is. And that used to be the entrance to the police station. And in the 70s when they built the police hotel, that's how it was been said when on the Lee Blag going into Patrick John, when it has been built, it was called the Police Hotel. People saw a huge building that could house how many police officers, and so today it is still there.
Right.
And nothing's been said about it today. It's still there.
Yeah.
I mean, that hotel, that police hotel, we can say it is more than 50 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It is more than 50 years old.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So let us see what happens. Whether Mr. Edmonds, I know he'll continue the legacy, and whoever takes over. Because let me just end here on Mr. Charter. Yet the real test of that legacy will not be the medals or the tribute. Charter sought to move Dominica's prison system towards a correction model that view inmates as citizens in repair, not merely numbers in a cell block. And the best way to honor that work is not with speeches, but with policies to emulate, enhance, and ultimately institutionalize his vision of rehabilitation, respect, and dignity as the organizing principle of prison life in the Commonwealth of Dominica.
And if we're serious, let's name something at the prison after Charter.
Well, it's up to them.
Let's name our quarters. Let's name something after Charter at the state prison. That would based on what we are saying in terms of what he has been able to do to transform lives of citizens of Dominica, and if many of these prison officers or many of these prison inmates who visited the prison can attest of the work that he did with them, I think it's a good opportunity so that we now can identify. I think one of our weaknesses in Dominica is that naming things after people. I've realized that the government now is naming some things after people. We have seen the E.O. Libra Highway. We have seen the President Nicholas name that roundabout. I know that they want to name the bridge that's going out of Roseau after Shine Alfreys. I know that the name of Emmanuel Loblack has been named. That bridge there has been named after him, and some other. I think the Social Security is named after something. Justin.
Mr. Fred Justin.
Fred Justin.
Fred Joyceling,
yeah. So I think that is named after him. I think so. We need to start taking like how Barbados does. Barbados is very good at that. We need to identify. We have to start identifying people who have given contribution, meaningful contribution
to the institutions,
to the state, to the country,
and to the institutions.
I would like to see that Roosevelt's career after something in Dominica, after serving for a very long time and giving service to Dominica. We have the Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard after her. Nothing has been named after Edison James. Nothing has been named after Patrick John. I think they were trying to name I think the president last year, when, as a matter of fact, tomorrow, the Labour Party will be celebrating 71 years of existence. And he's trying to request of people to give them names of places and buildings, so that they could name after Patrick John. So I think we have to try to get into, and not just politicians. We have seen in the sports stadium, we have named after Irving Chillingford, after Stanford Adams, after Norbert Philip, after Thomas Kentish. So I think we now need to get into that groove and to that mood and to name things after our Dominicans.
It would be good to name something, maybe some award, or maybe some programs that they do, maybe to name it after the charter or whatever. It would be good. So let them conceptualize what it is.
Like we did in DBS Radio. Studio 1 is named after Ted Daly. Studio 2 is named after Felix Henderson, and Studio 3 is named after Kurt Matthew. These are men for a long time will be remembered for their service given to Dominica, not just DBS, for Dominica. So yes, maybe we can name the building after Jeff Charles, the first leader. It doesn't matter how short that his term was, but he was an impactful leader, and who knows? I mean, I can bring it to the board to find out from the board if we can put the name of the building after Jeff Charles. It would be something. And look, someone just said to me that the football house is named after Patrick John.
Yes,
so
Patrick.
Yes, so we have to get into the mood of, for instance, the old colonial names that we have in Roseau, Cock Street. Well, what's the value of Cock Street? I need someone to tell me that. Why can't it not be named after Clarence Senior, who lived on that street for all of his life? King George V Street has a significance. It has a significance. Marlborough Street. What is the significance of Marlborough Street? Kennedy Avenue has a significance. Just see what we did. It was called New Street, and then when the president of the United States was killed in '63, it was named Kennedy Avenue. To this day, it is still Kennedy Avenue. Upper Lane. Why Upper Lane? Why can't we not name it after Teacher Rose? Teacher Rose lived all her life on Upper Lane, and Teacher Rose has given a lot of service to young ladies. We heard someone made mention of the work that Teacher Rose did with her, and many other young ladies. She had brownies, she had guides, and she had a preschool molding the minds of many children. So why can't we not name Upper Lane after Teacher Rose Lane? Phil's Lane. Why Phil's Lane? What was the rationale for Phil's Lane? And so we should, as a people, because I remember as mayor, I brought this to the central government, requesting that we name or we rename those streets, and it's unfortunate that it never happened, because what we had to do was to meet the people of Roseau to find out the significance of changing the names, and we would call meetings, the council would call meetings, and people would not find themselves coming, and by virtue of that, it really never ever happened.
Right.
So I think it's important that we start to think of that.
Right.
Start to think of that.
Well, another character that whilst we're talking about in terms of feathers, we spoke about our good friend, the superintendent of prisons. And we talk about Jeff Charles, and maybe we should just do a final one in terms of just naming a few. A very, very famous character passed on, very notorious in our history. A fella who led the revolution in Grand Bay.
Notorious character, that's what you say?
Yeah,
when people hear notorious character, they tend to think he's a bad person.
Well, let me put it that way.
You talking about UNICEF?
Yeah, I'm talking about UNICEF. Yes, he has passed on as well.
Francis, what was his first name? But his last name was Francis.
Francis, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was one of the principal characters behind the revolution on the Geneva estate. You knew him?
Yes. I met UNICEF twice in my lifetime. The very first time I met him, didn't have any long conversation. We did not even talk about the uprising. The second time was when they were building the houses where they are now in Grand Bay. I remember meeting this guy, and I decided to have a conversation with him. I must say that he's very profound. He's not a boastful person, and he never even said to me, that I was responsible for the uprising. He gave credit to many other people, and that was very amazing to me, because I would have heard many people talking about he and Nassif and what Nassif would have done to him and so on. And he spoke more of Chubby to me than speaking about himself.
Yeah, but he became very famous during the uprising in 1974, I think it was, when they had the Geneva uprising. I still remember seeing and hearing that the estate was on fire. Many animals were killed. Houses were being burned. People were afraid. We were all following the news in Roseau. And just to sum it up in terms of the activity followed up by a burning of the Nassif's store by the market, by the old market, which is now used as a tourist area where they have activities where tourists come and they play music. That building is still, I think they call it the ruins.
Correct.
Right, that
Very
building
correct.
was burnt. Up to now, nobody know who burnt it. But it was all linked to the revolution in
Grand Bay.
at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember passing by the police station. I saw Mr. Banis and quite a number of policemen at the time heading in jeep and trucks heading to Grand Bay. And then later on I heard the army moved up. I saw the army, the convoy, leaving the police station and moving up to Grand Bay, where they had a curfew in the area until the matter was settled. And he, I remember, was a principal character they were looking for days. They were looking for him, and eventually gave up himself to the police, and the matter finally went away. But it's very important to know that you can see Geneva now as a area where they have the huge playing field now.
During that same time, Hartley, you can help us, that Chubby found himself going to jail for a coconut.
Patrick John. Yeah, Patrick John passed a law. Anybody taking one coconut will go up for 1 year. And Chubby found himself in that situation as well. Not only he, another character, some other characters found Pretty Lassini. You go up for 1 year. And I believe that the guy, if I remember, I don't know if you remember magistrate they call Mr. Angelo Winston.
Yes. Angelo was an easy boy. Mr. Winston wasn't easy. Angelo Winston, as a young boy.
Do you know where he lived?
Angelo lived. Let's jog my mind now. Angelo lived in Roseau, boy.
Angelo used to live in the Cherry Lodge Hotel. He lived there at one time, and he has this house up there in good. As soon as you pass at the back street, when you reach at the top.
At the top, that's where I knew Angelo. That's where I never knew him at the Cherry Lodge Hotel.
I used to see him at Cherry Lodge.
I know him at the top of Center Road.
You know who lives there now?
Moise?
Not Moise. No, man. The Trotter man. Trotter the engineer.
You're talking about Ghana?
Ghana Trotter.
Ghana Trotter.
The one who's the engineer, not the one who does the
plumbing.
Plumbing, no.
Yeah.
The engineer.
Yeah.
I can't remember his first name. He lives there now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where Angelo Winston lived last days of his life. But he was one of the principal characters who was then the magistrate in Granby.
He wasn't a bad guy, really.
Can you see him? A short, wrestling guy, always exercising, always walking on the ball of his feet.
Angelo was a strange character.
Very strange. Always have his thing as though, he doesn't want to breathe the old air in Roseau.
Angelo, I don't know if it's exercise Angelo used to exercise, but there are times you'd see Angelo walking, and he would sometimes hail people, sometimes he would not.
Yeah.
And you're right, he always had this, was it a handkerchief that he used to?
Handkerchief.
Yes, and he always had on his nose. I thought it was because of a constant cold that he had.
No, it was
No, I think it's a constant cold, Angelo.
No, man, Angelo's...
The guy name is Vivian Trotter.
Yeah, Vivian Trotter. He doesn't want to breathe the old air.
I think Angelo had a bad...
No,
always had a constant flu, constant cold. Running of some people have running flu.
I know, but when I asked questions about him, and I spoke to him, he said to me, he had he could speak English. Oh man, that air in Roseau is quite polluted.
Wasn't that an excuse for him not to make you think that he has a flu?
And he had a
bongs.
He had a kind of bongs, man.
Yeah,
vari. From side, vari.
No, he had a vari,
with that white hair.
Angelo had a kind of vari, my brother.
And when you see...
And it was difficult for you to, even when Angelo sent you up, it was difficult for you to hate Angelo. He was a guy with a mixed personality. He had a love in himself. There are times that he stays away from people.
Yeah.
He likes his little whiskey.
Oh yeah.
And Angelo's just strange, but
strange fella. But
I never realized that he used to be by Cherry Lodge.
Yeah, he used to go there all the time. I used to see him when he comes out before he goes to the courts. Fellas, would say, boy, Angelo, we're going to meet, yeah? Well, three principal character I found very interesting was you follow Angelo Winston and that one, what's the other one? The one, Miss Copeland.
Well, I didn't. I did not know of Mr. Copeland. Mr. Copeland was before my. Well, I shouldn't say before my time. Mr. Copeland was in the mid 60s, 64, 65, 66, and Copeland would have stayed there for a while, a long time, because songs have been sung about Copeland. As a matter of fact, every year there was a road march on Copeland.
And the other one I found very interesting, magistrate, was Mr. Moise. Have you ever heard of Moise?
Oh, come on, man. Just play a song of Moise's son, the father of that Rasta that died some time ago. How could I forget my good friend name? Those things.
He has a record. He has a record.
How could I forget my friend name?
Do you know the record?
Was that you talking about Moise? Being a police officer?
Do you know his record? He left a record in the police station.
The most children?
42 of them.
Most children?
Yeah, most children. 42 of them.
I know of that record. I think it was more than 42. I know every community that Moise visited as a police officer, he had a child.
Yeah, 42, I think.
He had a child, for sure. Rasmo, the father of Rasmo.
But he had a very...
And Harry Moy.
He had a very...
And he has a daughter that's a police officer, as we speak. I think he may have maybe more than one police officer today. Quite a number of his children are police officers.
But what I love about him, he would just say, he had a very strange way of speaking English.
So what, Papa Moise? Father Moise?
Moise in Petit Savant.
Yes.
He mixed English with patois.
Yes, all the time.
Sa ou ka gaspye time wè pou nou? Ou sa vou fè bagay la? And it just do fè nou, man. Don't waste my time.
Boy, let me tell you, when you would have gone to the court in the low court and to witness this guy, he had a humor.
Very humorous.
He came from the south of Dominica. I think Petit Savant. And he never lost his accent.
You ever saw him at work?
In the courts? Yes, my brother. Many times.
What fascinated you about him?
It's the way, he has to have a big glasses, and before he gives his verdict,
yes.
he push up his glasses, and he would ask most times, "Dis-moi, Saouli, mon frère, you stole Tell me what I should do to you. He always asks that question nicely.
Tell me.
You know? And then when you see you talking foolishness, Moise would get not upset, but he would give you what's coming for you in the court.
That's a very interesting character. Moise, that was one of his fortes, and you follow was another guy.
You follow, boy. I remember you
mentioned-
follow.
Yes.
You see where the NDFD is right now?
Yeah, that's where
That's where the court was at the time. That's where the low court was. And every time you follow would have a case. I do not know why. He came from England. But every time you follow would have a case, the low court would have been filled with people. It doesn't matter what type of case, that the low court, inside of that low court and outside of the low court. Like that Great Marlborough Street is a birthplace where the NDFD is at this present time, downstairs. That
used to be the penny bank.
And that used to be J.B. Charles Penny Bank. That's where everybody, if you ask anybody, they'll tell you it's the penny bank that you remember there. You know? Someone says to me, you are mixing the names. I think you are referring to Teddy Boyd. Angelo was a magistrate too.
Teddy Boyd. That's correct. Teddy Boyd. Thank you for the correction.
Yeah, Teddy Boyd. Yeah.
That is correct.
All right. That's Kelvin Francis. And you know, Kelvin don't get those things
thank
wrong.
you very much. Teddy Boyd.
Because Teddy worked with, I'm saying Teddy. Kelvin worked with I think is Silma Jupini.
Teddy Boyd.
Yeah.
Teddy
Early
Boyd.
days of Kelvin.
He's very right.
Yeah, Teddy Boyd.
We're getting names mixed.
Yeah.
Teddy
So
Boyd.
thanks very much,
Thanks very much
Kelvin.
for the
Yeah, for that information.
Teddy Boyd.
We have to give information correct.
Yes.
To the general public.
Teddy Boyd.
Yes, so Teddy Boyd. Thanks for that again, Kelvin. So we were talking about Manu. Manu had a strange way of doing his judgment.
You saw him in court?
But too many times, it was a joy, I tell you.
Why did you see him?
Because at the time Manu was working as a magistrate, I was working at Clico. And Clico was very close to Clico was on Great George Street, and the court was on Great Marlborough Street, in the corner of Great Marlborough Street and Kings Lane. So it's just less than 2 minutes walk. You're into the court. And what used to fascinated me was his English language, how he would sentence you. It would leave you confused. See what I'm saying? And one of the things that fascinated me with Mr. was embarrassing lawyers, and sometimes even detaining those lawyers. You remember those things?
Oh yes. He held Tony Astafan. He held up Tony Astafan.
Not just Tony alone, you know.
He held up more lawyers now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I remember.
Mr. Detain lawyers.
Okay.
For
Did he ever have toys to demonstrate a traffic?
I cannot remember some of those judgments. I just know that he was crude in his deliveries, and his court could not have had any noise.
No noise.
You had to stay quiet. Nobody could laugh. Contempt of court, he would say. And sometimes he would ask the police to arrest you and put you in the cells for a little while. You know, contempt of court. That's how rough man. And they call him, you follow?
Yes, you follow.
Because he used to always say that, you follow.
Right.
Asking that to ensure that you know what he's saying. So he always ask you, you follow. So
He's a very interesting
so this guy from Pottersville, Natty, made a song about him. You know?
Is it Natty?
Yes, Natty.
Okay.
Natty made that song on You Follow.
He was a very interesting character. And later on, he also was the president of the ex-service.
Oh yes, the ex-serviceman, yeah.
Because I think he served when he was in England, he was in the army during the Second World War. I know he was Royal Air Force.
I don't know what that person, someone says, the $1,000 magistrate. I don't know what the person means, but I have to give me a better explanation on that one.
But I don't know about the $1,000 magistrate.
Maybe every time you come before him, he charge you $1,000.
I don't know. I don't know about that one. Maybe that's breaking news. But he was a very interesting character.
What do you know about Copeland?
Well, as a young boy, I think that I still remember that the magistrate's court was up there where you have the DBS sales department. I think there used to be a court there at one time.
That's across the. Oh
Right
yes,
next
yeah,
to you.
right, yeah. There was a court before.
I think that's
Yeah.
where he used to be.
It was the low court.
That was the
So on the other side where the parliament is was the high court,
Was
and
the high
there,
court.
and
And
on
there-
the other side was the low court. You're right.
So I remember him operating there. And I remember him charging, I don't know what he charged Idol for. Remember Idol?
Yes.
I think
Idol is the Calypsonian.
The Calypsonian.
Mhm.
So I believe there was some kiss that he had with him. So he wrote the song, "Don't Play with Daddy Copeland." Daddy Copeland is a bad man.
And
That's what I remember.
another one was Mr. Copeland Paka Kopwan.
Yes, that is correct.
Mr. Copeland Pasa
So we had some
Kopwan.
interesting characters on the magistracy during my time. Follow, Copeland, Ted Boyd,
Mm-hmm.
the other one, and well, the other one that almost made history, but he's still on the bench.
Riviere?
Eh?
Not Riviere.
No.
Paquette?
No, the one up there in Portsmouth, but he's still young.
In Portsmouth?
Yeah, man.
Who's in Portsmouth now?
He's still there as a lawyer. You forgot he was a magistrate at one time. Tiani, man.
Oh, Tiani Bianzin. Yeah, Tiani.
He left.
Yeah.
Fellas were afraid of him in Portsmouth,
Mm-hmm.
but he's still practicing.
Mm-hmm.
He's still practicing law.
Someone just corrected me. It's Rabbit Who Made You Follow. This guy sang Mary Eugenia. What's his name? The guy I was talking about earlier on sang Mary Eugenia.
But I know Idol wrote about
Copeland.
For sure.
Yeah. So after his penalty from Copeland, he sang a song, "Pa, don't mess with Copeland."
Copeland, yeah.
But there were a number of songs, more than 3 songs on Copeland in the 60s.
Yeah, but he was a man that a lot of the people were afraid to come before because of his very, very serious attitude towards the law. So, Cecil, when you look at our characters and our people in terms of looking at some of the icons.
And as you're saying that, I'm sorry to disturb you.
Go ahead.
As you're saying that, it is so important to identify some of the places that would have been the low court, where many people would not even remember. So one of them was where the sales office of DBS was. As a matter of fact, the building is still there today as we speak, where that is in the 60s, where Copeland would have been in the 60s. And across where the Parliament building is would have been the High Court. And upstairs of the High Court, you would have had the registrar. So many people may not know of that history. Around that area, that where we are at DBS Radio, have a very strong history. You had the Fort Young Hotel. I think it housed the police station at one time.
Yeah. The police station at one time.
And for many people who may not know, that in those early days, you had an underground tunnel from the police station to the barracks on Monbruce.
Monbruce, yeah.
I can tell you that now as we speak.
Yeah.
I think that is still there today. It's not functional, but you had this underground tunnel, if you want to say, that you could move from the Fort Young Hotel to the barracks.
Have you ever seen it, Cecil?
No, never did.
Okay,
I
but
never showed
I
any
never saw
interest in that one. Never did.
Okay.
So the magistrate court was once upon a time where the DBS sales office was many years ago. It's now a vacant building, and also too that you have, as we said, where Manu, where the NDFD is.
That was a magistrate.
That also was a magistrate court. Right now we also have the magistrate court where again?
Well, we had a magistrate's court talking about that. Just doing a brief history. We had a magistrate's court as well. I'm talking about Roseau, where
where we have the resource center, is that it is called by the bayfront, by the port, by the ferry terminal.
By the ferry, that's where it is now.
Yeah.
But did we have? Yeah, we had it as well at one time.
Was it ever? Oh, it was also in
Charles Pharmacies.
Charles Pharmacies?
Yeah.
Yes, it was where Charles Pharmacies is. And you would have forgotten to where Tropic Craft is, where we now have what's downstairs. Where that lady, that vulnerable lady, used to be.
Yes.
The DBMC was a certain time upstairs. Downstairs there was the magistrate court also on Independence Street, right next to that school, that school of Lucia Stedman.
Yes.
Right next to it, adjacent to the Catholic Church building. I think that is there.
We talk about the handcraft building.
Right, the handcraft building. Right, where Miss Volney was. So there too house the magistrate court. So can you imagine how many places that magistrate court moved?
Moving, yeah. They move quite a bit. So when you look at the characters, Cecil, you can see that Dominica's had.
Oh, and sorry, it was also on High Street where where we presently house the Inland Revenue. So where the Inland Revenue was, I remember that.
Oh yes.
The court was also there on High Street. It was there for a long time.
Very, very.
Yeah, so many people my age would remember this one there on High Street for a very long time. But where the Inland Revenue is, I want people to know that the building of the Inland Revenue, they used to house the High Court.
Do you remember one of the most famous cases in where cabinet is held? No, not cabinet, where the House of Assembly is held. No.
The most popular one I know is when Edison James was sued by Dame Eugenia Charles, and Edison James, on the air condition, drank quite a lot of water. Is that what you're talking about?
That's where his case was held?
Yes, that's where the case was held. That's what you're talking about?
No. I'm talking about the case.
You're talking about Parliament Building?
Yeah, I'm talking about the case of Desmond Trotter.
Oh, the case of that was in the 70s. That was another popular one in the 70s, yeah.
Big case.
Yeah, that case before it actually was burnt.
And that case, as far as I know, historically, I can be corrected, people who are listening, ran for more than a month.
Was that case? Yeah, man, more than a month. Yeah, that's the case has run for more than a month. And he was found guilty.
Yeah.
And he would have stayed in jail for a number of years.
Yeah, I do remember. And I remember on that case were very famous people. Well, he's still alive. Brian Allen was there. Maurice Bishop was there.
Maurice Bishop was there as an attorney.
Yeah.
As an attorney for him. Young attorney.
There was young attorney. There was also Eustace Francis, I remember.
Eustace Francis, another attorney. And then, right after that, Eustace Francis became the parliamentary representative in the next election, I think in 75, under Patrick John. Yeah, so that would have been before. So Desmond Trotter would have gone to jail before 75.
That's right.
Yeah.
So these buildings are very iconic when you see them.
Yeah, and that same building that we are speaking about, where the present parliament is, got burnt up. If you remember.
Oh yes. Yes.
There was downstairs was the parliament, upstairs was the registrar. Where people would have gone for the birth certificates and so on, and quite a lot of people information got damaged, and they had to get not damaged, burnt, and they had to get quite a lot of information from the priests, and sometimes they would have gotten not accurate information, especially the spelling of people names, the original names of people, So today some people still do have that problem.
And do you know the only document they retrieved from that building?
What was it?
You don't remember? The land transfer of Leo Austin.
Oh, of Leo Austin, yeah. That was saved.
That's the only...
That was saved.
That's the only document.
And I wonder why.
That's the only document that was saved.
I wonder why.
Most of the documents were burnt. And there was a famous character who suffered quite a bit as a result of that. DBS became a very hot bed.
That is Ferdinand Frampton.
Ferdinand Frampton.
Ferdinand Frampton. Even the song was also made of him.
Yes.
You can take away Ferdinand. Is that what? No.
Cecil Ferdinand.
Cecil Ferdinand. Cecil Ferdinand.
Yeah. You know who sang that one?
Boy, was it
Spider.
Spider. You're correct, Spider.
Spider.
Yeah.
So when
almost slipped me.
When you look at the buildings, you can see that it still maintains its historical significance, but buildings change in terms of what they do in their lifetime.
Someone said that, I asked for the reason. Someone said that I heard it was for land grab. That is why that document was saved.
What?
Land grab.
No, man,
so what the person means by that.
What do you mean by that? Land grab?
Yeah.
One piece of document from an entire building just being saved, and everything else go up in flames.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that don't make no sense to me. If one particular document is saved and all the rest burned, then it means that something went wrong.
Because remember, at that time, Leo Austin name was a very popular name among many people in Dominica. And the people that are accused of burning it would have had reasons to maybe get there overnight. I was just saying that, to get there overnight, to get that document as a proof of what they're actually searching for. But everything else got burnt.
Well, it's a mystery still to be solved. A mystery still to be solved. I don't think
it has never solved. That will never be solved.
Unsolved mystery.
Yeah.
So when you see those buildings, as we walk around and we do our little Lakou, there are lots of buildings that we see around Roseau that we take for granted.
Even as you're saying that, as we are on that road on Victoria Street, I think the name Victoria Street should never be moved. Queen Victoria, it means quite a lot. Because if you look at some of the things that were built around that place was during her period. So I think Victoria Street is a very nice name. Also too, when we look at where the Venezuelan embassy is at this time, you remember what was there? A popular place that all the Guabugs and premiers and
Astor Hotel.
Astor Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Roy actually was the manager of that hotel,
Mm-hmm.
Astor Hotel. That was the biggest hotel around.
You ever ate there?
But I was a little boy when I ate there.
I went there. It was a very, very, very popular hotel at the time. But
somebody said that they were a clerk at they said the ground lizard entered the courtroom, and the person said to me, Cecil, I will give you the story on the next Lakou.
What's that?
I said we were talking about the paper, the grabbing of the paper. All right. Someone said that I heard it was for land grab, and another person said there is a story behind it. That same person says there's a story behind it.
The ground lizard came in.
So the person said the ground lizard entered the courtroom, and they stole a lot of people land because they could not prove ownership. That is another telling story. Yeah. And another person said, Cecil, I will give you the story on the next Lakou. Leo Austin was the AG.
Yeah, he was the Attorney General at the
time. So see what's busted out of this thing.
Right.
So people couldn't.
The mystery of the fire.
The mystery of the fire was maybe not political. It could be the cause of land.
So people are not able to
identify
land and land. Boy, that was a whole land business. Eh?
So I'm marking you next week, Miss. I know you well. You're in Dominica. You're already shot here. I know where you live. Mm-hmm. So if you don't call me next week, and live I want it. Live we want it. We're going to talk about the court next week. So I want you to tell us about the court live next week, about what happened and the cause.
The cause.
Because you see, quite a lot of things are really not been, I should say stories that have been told. It's not been documented. We just hear fire catch. We were talking about the ruins. We just hear We do not know who did it. We do not know why. No one was documenting things. No one was writing stories about those things. So I wonder why Lennox Honeychurch have not written about that ruin, and why he has not written about the fire in the court. All of these things are for me so important.
Well, some people, in terms of inference, in terms of the buildings and fire, the people can infer that because of the activity to a Geneva estate and the business of putting pressure on the owner, Elias Nassif at the time, many people tend to think they were linked between the fires being set at the Geneva estate where Mr. Elias Nassif was the principal owner and his store in Roseau. There is a sort of linkage between them. But nobody actually knew who it was. Nobody knew what happened or who set the fire. But people are just putting theories together to say, well, because of these things were occurring around the same time.
Yes.
So some people are speculating that, they were linked to get him to...
But, you know, during that period, though, we had quite a lot of fires in Roseau itself, If you remember, there was a fire in Kings Lane opposite Pee-wee, opposite Cherry Lodge, where we now see it's at the back of where we now see that Chinese restaurant, that tall building there, Chinese store, and I don't know if it's an insurance company that's close by. Behind there on Kings Lane, there was this huge fire of a number of people. I remember Alex. A guy named Alex was living there. I can't remember his mom name, Young, and I think Ra and them at the time were living there. I'm almost sure. So there's quite a lot of fires in Roseau. So it's not the first time we've seen fires like that in Roseau.
Yeah, it's not the first time. But that particular fire, people said it was really something to do with that revolution, because they found it was very strange that animals were being killed, houses were being burned, provisions were being taken from the estate, and the people felt that there were links in terms of the fire in Granby.
Do you think at that time that the judiciary was soft or tough?
No, man. These were revolutionary times in terms of black consciousness and people wanting to own their own land. Because most of these people in the old colonial times worked for the estate owners, and they felt that they were being deprived of their ability to own the land. And so there was a struggle with the landowners for possession of the estates, more so in the Geneva area. I don't believe it just happened overnight. I believe historically.
And if you look around, though, we're talking about Granby, but if you go into the Portsmouth areas, you go into some areas in Portsmouth, I should say. You would have had the barons, you would have the Dupinis, you would have had the Burtons, owning land. And sometimes, you ask, how all of those lands were actually owned, or estates were owned by these people. Was it, we know that Douglas would have gone to Creosote, and on returning with his oil money, or cane money, I think it was oil money.
More
oil money, that he would come back and purchase something like 500 acres of land. So it is documented and it is factual. But in reference to Baron, I've never heard or told as to how, not Frank Baron, but his father acquired so much land in the Portsmouth area.
We'll have to read the story, because there's a book out on Frank Baron written by Irving Andre, Dr. Irving Andre. I have not read that book yet. I would have to read it to find out what he had to say in terms of how he accumulated his wealth. I know, for instance, that then you had another...
No, well, Frank Baron would have accumulated his wealth by the fact that when his father passed, he inherited quite a lot of the land. But he was a very good investor. remember he went to England and I think he studied law, you know. Barron went to England, studied law, stayed in England for some years, and then returned to Dominica and decided to invest and get himself involved in politics.
Well, we had a principal landowners at the time that people mention all the time historically. We had the Amos.
Mm-hmm.
We had the
The Amos actually had, we can say, the Paybush area, that period, that area.
Yeah, around
Paybush, Mopak,
Calibishi.
Calibishi, those areas there.
Those areas there.
Yeah.
Long Mile.
Mm-hmm. 1 mile?
Yeah, it's not Long Mile, the other one. How you?
1 mile?
Teplat.
Teplat, yes.
That area there.
Mm-hmm. So anyone who's hearing us can help us to give us some of the areas that these people actually had.
You had the J.B. Charles.
J.B. Charles was actually Castle Comfort, Emsall, even going up to what you call that place? Going up to Mont Prosper, the entrance of Mont Prosper.
Right.
What do you call that place again? Not Wharton Waven. Check Hall. Check Hall.
Would it be Check Hall?
Yeah, Check Hall. And just as in Check Hall, getting to go into Mont Prosper, you know, that big, I think it was about 8 acres of land. He also had land in Emerald Pool area. He had some 6 acres of land in Emerald Pool. He had some 10 acres, I think, together with Shillingford in Picard, when you remember the Guineas.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're talking about Leo Emmanuel, so I'm lost there, sorry. We were talking about J.B. Charles. So J.B. Charles had quite a lot of, sorry about that, listeners and viewers. J.B. Charles actually had quite a lot of land, as we said, in Wallhouse, in Emsall,
yeah, I know these are the two principal
and also, to as I was saying, he also had, and Leo purchased that land. He also had that land that was going, as I said, to Mont Prosper in the Check Hall area. Leo purchased that land from him. He also had some land in Check Hall that Leo also purchased from him. And I got that from Leo Emmanuel. So Leo and myself worked together for some years, so I know of that. It had Wallhouse and it had Castle Comfort. Yes, not some parts of Castle Comfort. Because Castle Comfort was actually owned by the Bellots.
Right.
And the government purchased it later on. And then you had Free Friends in the persons of Sheridan Gegwa, Norris Prevost, and Labassiere came together to purchase.
Yeah, that's correct. You have that lockdown.
Yeah, so
you have that lockdown.
So there's a number of people who, someone told me Coptall. So thank you, Winnie. It was Coptall. That's the name I was looking for. Not Check Hall. Coptall. Yes. Check Hall is the Massac area. Coptall. Thank you very much. So the Coptall area going into
Wharton
Waven, or you can say not Mont Prosper, more or less. That is where Leo had J.B. Charles had and Leo Emmanuel purchased it from him. And I remember Leo saying to me when he purchased it for $80,000. And his daughter Eugenia Charles was very angry with the father for purchasing or selling that land for all of that money.
Which land he bought for $80,000?
He bought 2 pieces of land. The one in Coptall and the one in we just call the name by Castle Comfort.
You're talking about
Wallhouse.
Wallhouse, okay.
Wallhouse. He got that for $80,000 in those days.
You sure it's not $800,000?
No, $80,000. He told me. $80,000. Yes, and the mother, the daughter of JB wasn't very happy about that, you know.
And then we had another big estate owner. I mean, just talking about the estate owners and their influence on the politics. You had the Lavilles as well.
Oh yes, in the northeast of Dominica. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the Laville, he ran for elections in 1960, 1961. Yeah, 1961, and 61 or 66.
Well, during the periods of the 60s, the plan.
No, it was 66.
You remember?
It was 66 because. When he ran in 66, it was 57. 57, correction. It was 57 when Frank Barron became chief minister of Dominica, when the night of elections, the DUPP actually was formed. You had Frank Barron, you had Douglas, and a few other landowners, Huxley Shillingford. A few landowners were independent candidates. And you had the Labour Party headed by Shan Alfries. The Labour Party at that time won 3 seats. And you had Leslie. Is it Leslie from La Plaine area? Was it Leslie? And you had Laville. Laville was one of the persons that actually went and across to Frank Barron. And Frank Barron didn't treat him very well. Didn't make him a minister because he promised him that he would have made him a minister. And he did make him a minister, he did make him a minister. He was a minister, but a very non-functional minister. So when invitation comes for visits in England, he wouldn't have been to England. So you find that...
very interesting, when you look at the whole historical aspect
of
the plantocracy.
Yes, that's how it was,
Rise to power in terms of history.
Yes, it was. I mean, we have to try to make people know as to some of the things that happened in those days.
Because you see, it's very important to note, Cecil, that land was a very important aspect of politics at the time. Because the more land you have, is the more you have persons working for you, and the more likely that you tell super vote ba moi ou pas tap travail ba moi. If you don't vote for me, you're not going to work for me. So people will tend to feel that they owe.
Yeah. Yes, that they feel that they owe you.
Yes, that they owe you.
And you find a lot of people in those days, the poor ordinary people had land, and if you do a job for a rich man and you cannot pay him back,
your land is forfeited.
The exchange would have been the land of yours would be forfeited.
But talking about that, and very strange things were happening at the time, when we look at this period in terms of the land.
But before that, I mean, we talk about landowners. You had Mr. and he too went into politics later. Garnet Didier. Didier had land in Woodford Hill. Quite a lot of land. So Garnet Didier, Woodford Hill, quite a lot. And the banana, he was a chief man in the banana industry in those days. Right. Selling quite a lot of bananas.
So when we link it up in the 1974 Geneva Uprising, it was a question of the people of Granby under the guise of this guy, UNICEF, was really trying to wrestle the land from the big landowner. Because how many acres of land they would probably have in Geneva at the time?
I don't know. It's quite a lot.
Quite a number of acres. And so the struggle for the land would have been one where the people feel they were pressured in terms of the way they were treated. That although the farm would have hired quite a number of persons. And
in the Bells area we know, all of us are aware, and they also had some land in Egliston, Jodel. That is the Jupinies. The Jupinies themselves. But the Jupinies, they never got themselves involved in social politics.
Right.
They were just basically landowners, business people. They never really got involved in they supported a side, but you never saw the names of the Jupinies involved in politics. So you saw the Shillingfords. Howell himself was involved.
Yeah,
Douglas, Bernard Douglas.
Howell had a lot of that.
Yeah, Bernard Douglas. The Laville. Froebel Laville, it was his name.
Yes.
Baron, Frank Baron. So you had quite a lot of these people, Garnet Didier. A lot of these people found themselves, involved in politics, because Garnet Didier himself was a founder of the United Workers' Party, so he had to get somewhere to, because he was a freedom right, But I don't think himself and Eugene Charles could get on very well.
Right.
So that gave him no reason to really put himself forward to be a candidate. But by forming the United Workers' Party in the year 1990, he ran for the United Workers' Party in the Rosenhof constituency. He lost and never went back again.
But you know, another thing I found very interesting when you look at the history in terms of land, and just I found this fellow also purchased quite a bit of land there.
Who's that?
Our good friend in the Loda area. You know what I'm talking about? Julius Timothy.
Oh, Julius Timothy. Yeah. I thought of him, you know. I thought of him.
He purchased quite a bit of land in the Loda area, heading in the way to Delis. Because you know there's a ridge.
Yes.
When you're in Loda, you can just move across the ridge and find yourself down into Delis Slap Plain. So that's
the road that's the track that they were using in the old days to get to Roseau. Not just Delis but Grand Fort. You know, they used that road quite a lot.
So you can see land was something very important to those guys because with the land.
I would like to know who was landowner in Cassibros. You know, Grand Fort area. We know a Newfoundland. We know another politician. That was Conrad Cyrus. You know, he was an independent candidate for a number of years, always winning. Until in 1980, 85, he decided that he was going to run. Well, he ran as an independent candidate in 80, but in 85, he ran as a candidate for the Freedom Party in the Grand Fort constituency.
But he controlled a lot of land.
Yes, he did.
In that area. And basically, since his demise, or let's say not his demise, his death, that the estate itself has not been as effective in terms of management of the estate, in terms of production.
He employed quite a lot of people in that area in the east. And
as
it's very productive.
So when you are working for the plantation owner or the land owner,
you have no choice.
Your allegiance is to vote for the guy.
So when you hear independent candidates winning elections, let's look at them. Who won in those days? Jenna Amo. Jenna Amo's father was a landowner, you know, a big landowner in the Paybush constituency. You also had Conrad Cyrus, who was an independent candidate, but also another landowner. RBD.
Douglas.
No, RBD the D is Douglas already. So it's Rupert Bernard Douglas,
right.
RBD. He too was a landowner. Frank Barron, another landowner. Flaubert Laville, another landowner. So you find that many of those landowners, you know, would have gone up for politics and
won the seats.
And won the seats. And in those days, you had the British in control.
Howell Shillingford,
you know, controlled the entire West.
Yeah.
You also had Mr. Henry. Elkin Henry.
He himself
was an estate owner.
He bought a lot of land
in the West Coast, in Maho area.
Well, really, when you put it into perspective, he bought a lot of land in the Warner area.
Right.
Quite a number of acres.
And that Warner area would be part of the constituency of, at the time, West. It was called constituency. It was called the West. So that would be part of. And you should remember in the election of 1960, I think, 1961. Is it 1961? Someone can help me. He won the elections. The night.
And
the next day of the counting, he lost by one vote.
Talking about that, have we ever had that again?
One by one vote?
A person won by one vote.
Yes, Lauren Barnes won by one vote. I think Peter Seja himself would have won by maybe either one or two, no more than five. I think we have seen maybe twice again.
One vote, you win
by one vote. Lauren Barnes won by one vote.
You win on Monday by one vote.
Oh no! Well, Lauren wasn't win by that same day of the election night. She knew that she won by one vote. But I know Peter Seja won again the same night. The recount proved that he won.
Not by one vote.
No, I think it went by maybe about 5. But or 8, something like that. But I know that with Mr. Elkin Henry,
Yeah, that was his.
he was celebrating the night.
I remember.
And the next morning when the recount came, that he lost by 1 vote.
And how I know, when my father came home, he told me that Elking got a fall fouet, meaning he won the night, and the next day he had lost by 1 vote. Very interesting. So when you look at the history of the landowners, you're correct. They control, but we never saw a Nassif.
No, Nassif never, because you see, Nassif felt that his descendants came from, is it Syria or
Lebanon?
Or Lebanon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They
so wherever they came from, I don't think they felt it was of importance, knowing that they had control of both land and the business enterprise. They didn't see the need of really getting themselves. But one of the sons was requested by President Prime Minister Mr. Skerrit to play a part in central government, and he was Minister for Tourism.
But he didn't
But
run.
he never ran for election.
Okay, he was nominated.
He was nominated as a senator and was given that opportunity. But we had quite a lot of the in the early days of the 60s, 50s.
Yeah, the landowners.
Especially in 57.
Yeah, they ran.
When before 57, you would find even after before adult suffrage, you find a lot only the adult, because they are only the people with land.
Mm-hmm.
Because prior to 51, women could not have run for elections.
No.
And also too, if you do not have property, you could not have run for elections. So, by virtue of that, you find only landowners prior to adult suffrage, that people without land would have run for elections. In 57, for the very first time, we would have seen a woman get herself involved in politics. She came from England. She was part of the Labour Party in England. She met with Loblack. Loblack was already working with her uncle from the point of view of the trade union, because her uncle, who was Nichols, was the uncle, and so when he passed on, she came to Dominica a few years later and met with him, and then set up the Labour Party. Tomorrow will be giving them 71 years on the 25th of May, 1955. The Labour Party was formed from there, and you saw a woman found herself, and you had people like Mr. Nan Ducre. Nan Ducre was a bright guy, Libla, another bright guy. Now these guys, Nan was a businessman.
But don't forget, Nan himself had quite a bit of land
in Cochrane, right? So Nan had land in Cochrane. Mm-hmm. He was a businessman. So it's still fend. So you find that you had even Libla, as to Libla name as one with lands.
But it's very interesting that you mentioned Libla, because although he wasn't controlling lands, he was also very much involved in land, agriculture.
Yes.
So land was a very important.
Because at one time before that, Libla found himself, he was involved as an officer responsible for the areas, the extension officer of the areas of Portsmouth. Well, not necessarily Portsmouth, but Vickers area. He asked the British authority that he could be in Portsmouth. They found favor with him. They placed him in Portsmouth. That is after several times he was asking the British government, I think about 3 times, for him to get a scholarship to become a doctor, because Libla wanted to be a medical doctor.
That's correct.
And by virtue of that, was not given that opportunity. He then asked them to be shifted to Portsmouth, where he was responsible for all of Dalaford, as in Penville, Capuchin, down to Marigot. So Portsmouth was the hub, and from there, he was not a landowner, but a guy on the ground with people.
Who working in the field, mainly in the extension business, which enabled him to link with many of the farmers. So as we said in the 50s and the 60s, land played a very important part in terms of people getting elected. And that is why when you hear people talk about all the time in their politics, land reform.
So Libla was very specific in 66 when he ran the election, that his focus was a lot on land reform and infrastructure.
Land reform. Right.
And if you realize, even when he became premier, in 61, he had to take a lot of landowners to build feeder roads and to also build major roads into various communities to get to the city or to get to the town of Roseau. So that's where the whole concept of land reform began. Because it was important that a lot of these people who were working for those landowners were not given the kind of treatment of having to work for them and get a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. So Libla became very conscious about that. As a person who was a field officer for DBGA, he felt it was important that those people who were working for those people on the farms, that they should be given a fair treatment. So he pushed.
And that is why I am saying that, and that's why I brought in terms of UNICEF the concept of the land business.
Right.
Because obviously the people themselves were working on the estate, but the treatment on the estate, as far as the documented, they felt they were not being well treated, and they wanted to be able to be in control of the land, and the best land under their control.
And that is why Libla found himself not been very popular, unfavored by the people who owned land. So if you go back in Libla time, you would not find the Howell Shillingford supporting. You would not have found the Baron supporting. To a certain extent, later on, you didn't find the Lavilles supporting. And so you had a lot of the landowners when Libla ran as leader of the Labour Party in 61, that these landowners, and 66 and 70, that many of these landowners did not favor him. But what you saw later on, like landowner, businessman Ducre fell off from Libla, because Libla was a really radical person. And so he and Libla had this misunderstanding. And so Libla kicked him out, Libla fired him. Just a week before election, he found out that his name wasn't going to be part and parcel of the Labour Party. And the rest is history, where they both went to the courts, and Libla called his party the Libla Labour Party, and the Dominican Labour Party was given to Ducre, and Ducre was then the leader of the Dominican Labour Party. So that is another history by itself. It would be nice that if we had taken the opportunity to say, let us talk about the Labour Party history. Maybe we can do that sometime later,
right?
Because tomorrow is going to give the Labour Party 71 years.
But another very interesting thing about the land, the Cassibrus also had an uprising as well over the land.
Yes, that was
led by
Afimate, and it was a whole issue of CDC.
Yeah.
It was a whole issue of CDC,
the
Commonwealth Development Corporation.
And the whole idea of land distribution.
Right.
These big estates belong to the company.
Especially Windblue area.
Yeah, and so he started that uprising based on land reform, distribution of land to the farmers. But in his case, he was thinking of a cooperative.
Yes, a cooperative.
The Cassibrus cooperative.
Which was not a bad idea at all.
Yeah.
Because in today's world, we're still thinking of cooperatives. And in that period, cooperative was a very strong thing. And we saw that Afi, who would have set up the farmers cooperative that is on, is it Castle Street? As I think the building is still there today. But it did not last very long. as to reasons. I think the farmers were powerful at the time, and I think it was a good opportunity for them to have really set up that cooperative. But I'm not so sure whether it was because of inefficiency of management. Is it because the farmers were not interested? I don't know, but we know that there was a cooperative. So you're right when we speak about the Cassibus uprising.
Mm-hmm. So you can see that period of time where you talk about land, and especially, as I just mentioned, the guy who just passed, in terms of UNICEF and the struggle for land and the struggle for the redistribution of the land for the people and the movement away from the big farmer in the term of Elias Nassif.
I never know in terms of Roseau, a big landowner. I know there were several people who own certain portion of Roseau, but as to a big landowner in Roseau, I wish someone could help us on that
I know of a big landowner in the Pottersville area.
Potters.
I know a big landowner
Potters,
in the Pottersville area.
Yeah.
That is Mr. Porter.
Yes, Potters. Yeah, Mr. Porter.
Yeah, so I knew. But as to Roseau,
as a matter of fact, as you're saying that, you can help people to understand when you say a big landowner that he actually had control of the entire Pottersville area.
Pottersville area, yes.
Yeah, so that's why I think they gave the land to the church. The land that the church is at is on now is it was part of the Porters
estate, yes.
Where the Pentecostal church is. That's where their house was, right on Charles Avenue. Charles Avenue, where the Pentecostal church is. That was their home.
Right.
So basically, you can say the Porters have two churches.
Yeah. You know? So Cecil, in terms of that history, and that we can find, let me just say, because it's very important to note, and that's why you brought up the whole issue of land and the struggle for land. It's a book written by Paul Alexander, and it's called Granby, the 1974 Geneva Uprising, from Ballot to UNICEF.
You can give us a few more notes about it?
Well, I'll just briefly give you something. What he was saying there quickly, let me just open it. In the first chapter, he talks about Granby. He gives a description of what Granby was. Then he went into the Nassif area. Then he talks about resistance and unrest. In chapter 5, he talks about the Geneva Uprising and 1 year jail for coconut, which we just mentioned. And he talks about a guy by the name of Anthony Grail, Fight for Freedom. So that book is available at Jay's bookstore. And so if you want to know more about that struggle, about the Geneva Uprising, called From Ballot to UNICEF, it's a very interesting piece that one should try to purchase to get more of that history of it.
It's important, that we give people that kind of information, because many a times, we sit on property and we do not know who that original property was belonging to. Sometimes there's conflicts between certain properties, and some persons are saying that it's their property, some persons are saying no, it was stolen or it was given, and there's no documents, there's no paper. But it's important that we can identify and make people know that some of our big landowners in Dominica, yes, like many other countries in the region, after slavery was over, there was still a number of people who themselves were at the time modern slave owners. The British left, emancipation took place, and then you had some new kind of owners, slave owners, if you want to say that way. Because while the narrative was different, but the attitude of work to the people was not different.
To them, because some of them, and it's very important, whilst we're talking about Roseau, and you mentioned the landowners in Roseau, I know, for instance, that many of the people who lived in Roseau squatted on land or were renting land belonging to certain persons in the city. I don't know if one of them was a Shillingford man. I don't know if one of them were the Dupinis, but there were lots of persons. I don't know who actually the Pong belonged to. Because
The Pong,
the Pong belonged to someone.
yes, the Pong, and I find now it has
Because
a lot
Pong
of,
belonged to someone.
it has quite a number of owners now.
But there was one person I know where
Yes,
people rented from.
I'm trying to remember that person. I don't know if it's the father of Mrs. Bazi. I'm trying to remember, but I know the Bazis own quite a lot of land in the Pong area.
Yeah.
T.D. Shillingford himself was one of the landowners in Dominica.
Mhm.
You know, T.D. himself had quite a lot.
Yeah, and I know, for instance, River Street, many squatters, I don't believe the people there own the land, because quite a number of them in that area, where you would say River Street and Hillsborough Street, these whole area there used to belong to one family or two families. I don't believe most of the people in Roseau actually rented the land.
And see how it was, in terms of renting. You find that someone would have had their house, and they would take their house from one owner. Well, they would take their house from one place where they rented the land, and transfer their house wherever that they found space or favor to rent. So you find that they would have had their house on the land of someone else and would pay rent for the land. We're not seeing that happening anymore.
And people would go there to collect the rent for the land on every fortnight or every month.
Every month.
They go there and collect.
But you had people now like Diveril,
Diverley was a collector.
who was well, not a collector, house owner. Diveril had quite a lot of houses owned by him in Roseau. As to how he got those houses. So for instance, Fields Lane, a lot of houses in Fields Lane and land belong to Diveril. So a number of people would have to go by Diveril home on the corner of Hillsborough Street and now Independence Street. It was then called Queen Mary Street. Where the barber shop is, that's where Diveril was actually living. And you have to knock Diveril house, and you have to look like a zombie, in those days.
And not only that, the whole of practically all of Warner, over 400
acres
to
of land
800 acres of land
belongs to Diveril.
belong to Diveril.
Yes.
How he came by it,
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know how he came by
I
it.
don't know how it happened to. History have not. Nobody has documented as to how
he
Mr.
bought it.
Diveril Lawrence, got that land on Warner. So whole of Warner actually was belonging to Diveril.
Diveril, yeah. And there was a famous case,
Injunction.
yeah, between Warner
Angelo Allen and Diveril.
Lapin.
And Lapin. Well, Lapin is
And Lapin is
Lapin is
trotting
the
around
Lapin is the executor of the
Diveril.
the executive
of the wheel.
of the wheel. He's the executor of the wheel.
So there's a matter of great importance. I don't know what's happened to the case.
Up to I do not know if the case has been
Because
called.
you would hear Lapin running around Roseau calling himself, I'm a millionaire now, I'm a millionaire now, I'm a millionaire now.
But I know Diveril has a son in the United States. A son in the United States. I do not know what role that he plays, in all of this.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Land has been a very interesting political tool and also very important influence, because also whilst we're in the land business, land itself created a whole situation whereby many of the families and the people working on the estate for them became their concubines.
Oh yes, quite a number of people had children with those guys. Even when they had children with those guys, that their children and the woman couldn't pass in the front door.
Right.
They had to pass at the back door.
So very, very interesting. So I'm saying, Cecil, very interesting in terms of where we go in terms of the land. I don't know whether there are any other thing that we can touch on.
In the land, also we forget Point Michel. Point Michel was owned by the Pembertons.
The Pembertons.
Union Estate.
Also, we had the estate we just mentioned, the Bellot Estate.
Yes.
Which the three...
the Bellot Estate was Castle Comfort.
The Castle Comfort.
That whole Castle Comfort going up to Bongdin with Beaubois.
That's right.
That all of that was belonging to the Bellots. And the three guys.
Sheridan.
One has passed. That's Mr.
Lavassier.
Lavassier has since then passed.
Right.
But you still have Mr.
Norris
Prevost and Mr. Sheridan Gecko. They both are alive. But what they have done well is in terms of selling the lands to several people. I'm not so sure what the price was when purchasing, but I know when my brother purchased in the late 80s, at that time, late 80s, he was able to purchase it at $10 a square foot.
$10, wow.
That's a long time ago, very long time ago. I wonder what's the cost of the price of a square foot of land at that place, in that place now. Mm-hmm. But we have seen the development of that area. So there's one thing that Norris Prevost and the two other guys would have done is to sell the land. And yes, they would have gotten rich, but at the end of the day, they would have given opportunity to many people. True. And we would have seen in the 80s quite a number of people building their homes on that
quite a number of persons build their homes on that. Quite a few prominent persons too build homes in that area.
And also too, as we're talking about lands, Leo Emmanuel himself was another large land owner. He would have purchased from persons who had land. So, for instance, as I told you, that he would have purchased from J.B. Charles a portion of land that would include Wallhouse and Coptall. I'm not so sure where he purchased, from whom he purchased the estate in over 10 acres of land in Picard. And also too, he would have had land, 6 acres of land.
No.
Go ahead.
No. Now I pick up what you were saying there. In the Picard area, he actually, together with Reggie Shillingford and the government, control 800 acres of land.
8? Where did I get 10?
800.
Where did I get 10? I don't know why I got 10. I don't know why I said 10.
10
I said it twice.
10 acres of that land belonged to Reggie
Shillingford. Yeah.
Right, but the entire estate, they bought it from Guineas.
Right.
At the time, Guineas promised to do some development in that area. And then Eugenia sold the land to the 3 people. Well, more Leo.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that the land in that area is still not fully developed. I noticed that
it's not fully developed. It's not developed.
Developed at all. I think the area where they're building the track, if my memory serves me, I could be very wrong, is on that 10 acres in that area there, getting closer to.
And you know, that is a very rich history in terms of that Guineas land.
The Guineas land.
Because I think there was big plans for that land. And I do not know why central government has not been able to either purchase or acquire the land to have done some kind of development in that area. Right. Well, I do not know what the land situation is.
Right. Well, I know, for instance, that if they would have to, government has, I think 10% of the land there belongs to the government, and 90% belongs to the guys. So it would be good to do the research. So most of the land is in the hands now of the Emmanuels. And I believe that it would be the guy, what's his name? The one who have the restaurant.
Talk about Reggie?
Not Reggie and the other guy who has the restaurant at the back of the ministry there, financial center. That other Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
He had the place.
Leslie?
Leslie.
That's the son of Leo.
Yeah, the son of Leo. I believe it's the who may be in control of most of that land.
I must ask Leslie about that.
Leslie and Reggie Shillingford, I believe, and government.
Mm-hmm.
So that because the land is just there, and we have not seen any great movement in terms of development in that area, except that we are seeing now the movement of the clearing of the land for, I think,
golf course?
Not a golf course, track and field.
Oh yes, that's the area for the track and field. That's correct. Yeah, you're right.
So
we had quite a number of landowners, as we said, and there are still some that we may not know or we do not know at all. People can help us to have a greater understanding as to these people as we're talking about it.
It would be very interesting to see what will happen to that land, because I know, for instance, we have another piece of land we don't know. I know at one time they were thinking of some development that the 400 acres of land, which is another big portion of land, down in the Benz area, belonging to the Douglases. You know, they're about where they did some filming of the Pirates of the Caribbean.
You're talking about, no, you said in the Benz area, you're talking about, what could I forget that name? Anyway, we know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Where the Douglases have all the coconuts by the thing there. There's about 400 acres of land there. As well, I know it belongs to the Douglases.
I think it's 500 from what I understood.
500, yeah.
Yeah, from what I understood, it's 5.
500
Between 4 and 5.
Between 4 and 5.
Yeah.
100. I know at one time they were thinking...
Batibu. The place name is called Batibu.
Right, around the Batibu area there.
Batibu.
Where you find that at one time they were thinking of a golf course. At one time they were thinking of some cottages. So
I think that's a big piece of land that should be developed by the Douglases. I think there are 19 children, and all are not alive now. But I mean, at the time, but there are still a number of them around, and I think they can.
The land is in trust.
The bank, I know it is in trust, but I'm sure the bank, as a family, it's in trust of the family. But I'm saying as a family, the family is a very huge one, and I think if they can all come together and to do, especially as the international airport is going to come so very close to them.
So let's hope there's some lateral movement.
It's an opportunity to really create a golf course, put hotel space there, do business in the area. They can put a nice supermarket in the area, that can attract, 500 acres of land. It's by far 10 times bigger than Bobwa.
Oh, yes. But
it's 10 times bigger than Bobwa. Is about 56.
That's a joke.
56 acres.
That's a joke. Well, Cess, we're coming to the end.
Yes.
Of our program. We just have about 3 minutes. Another thing, quickly, I noticed that I just want to highlight that my concern is really about the vagrants in Roseau. Very, very, very much concerned about it, especially from a Lakou standpoint. Too many vagrants in the city. And I noticed that government, I saw in the headlines, vagrants in the city. Government to intensify family outreach to help relocate homeless individuals in Roseau. Your point of view before we wrap up.
I've always had a problem with the growing numbers of the vagrants that we would have seen in Roseau. We call them paros. I remember as being the mayor, I lamented that quite loudly to people that I met in meetings. And I remember one day Dr. Benji was at one of those meetings. And I said, why can't we not put these people, create something in the prison area, but not really have them incarcerated, but to have them in an area where they can be controlled. And I remember Dr. Benji said that these people have rights, and it dawned on me that yes, they have rights. Doesn't matter what the condition is. So I immediately clicked, and I said that I think it's the responsibility of both. And you will have heard me before. I'd make that statement very clearly. It's both the responsibility of the family, greater responsibility of the family, and then the government. What role can the family play? I believe that the family of these people can come together, meet central government, and to see how a halfway home can be built. Take it or leave it, in this modern time, Dominica needs a halfway home. The same way that we are seeing several homes being built for the elderly, I'm saying that some business person can invest in everything. Doesn't have to be left for central government. We've seen St. Lucia, we've seen Trinidad, people go there, and most of these things are owned by private owned people. And I'm saying that you can get the assistance of central government to place the necessary resource that they have to assist in the program. But I think we should be able to have a tripartite way of building this, where you have the business sector, you have the government, and families coming together to see how best we can solve that problem. Because these are children of men and women of Dominica. Some of them have brothers, some of them have sisters, some of them have uncles and aunts. So it's not a very nice thing when you have to pass them, lying on the ground in certain conditions. So I think if we are serious as a people, we're talking about infrastructure, we're talking about building of new supermarkets, we're talking about building of homes for people to reside. I'm saying that we now have to look for the vulnerable ones. And looking for the vulnerable ones, I would like to see, as I said, the business sector and that of central government and the families of these people coming together, and to maybe even get a FOF to see how we can get an NGO on board to help us with these things, because this is going to grow in such a way that these people, yes, they are vagrant, but they are going to be maybe sometimes violent, and they're going to be using up the system, these resources of the system of the state, and put us in a worse situation. So that's just my view. I don't know what's your
because
view.
One of the things that I saw is a vagrant who I saw when I went to the market on Saturday, that I even saw one with a knife. And that's why I became concerned, because I remember I had seen a vagrant. He had come to Roseau, and he had a big piece of iron in his hand some years ago. And he was very violent, very strong man, coming all the way from Bells, I know. I knew him in Bells because that's where I have my farm. And later on, I heard he was one of the guys involved with the disappearance of the girl in Mona. And I know that that was I was very concerned with him, because I was seeing how strong he was and how he was behaving in the city. And I'm seeing another one doing almost the same thing, but this time he have a knife. And you never know when these vagrants or that character may injure somebody in the city.
And not only that, when they injure you, right, you almost cannot do anything, because the law is going to say that they are mentally challenged or disturbed, and so it is not a fair assessment for anyone to be hurt by a vagrant, and the law is just going to say that that person is mentally challenged, and you may not have no recourse.
So it's very important.
So I think for that of central government, I would really want to ask central government to try to find out who are the family members of these vagrants. I think we have a social department. Make it part of your business, because some of you all would pass on the road or even drive and would see those vagrants every day. So I'm asking that if you all, from the social point of view, the social ministry, I'm trying to remember the name, it's not coming in mind now, but that ministry, I would like to see that you do your best to create a statistic of these men and women who are on the road. Let us stop calling them paros. They are not paros, they are vagrants. They are homeless, some of them. And to see how best we can get the family members of these people
involved,
and see how, again, too, that government can maybe give some kind of benefits. Try to look for the right word. The right word is not benefits, but tax break. That's the word I'm looking for. Right. Tax break. Right. For anyone or any group of people who have decided that they are going to build a halfway house
for them,
for these people.
Because I know, for instance, at one time we had an incident where a gentleman was going around and just throwing stones on the head of these vagrants. I know we've had some instances where some young men...
And I think he's now in jail for a number of years.
Yeah, for
over 40 years.
A number of young men have been abusing them. And I know, for instance, I think it was last year that one was found dead somewhere in Roseau, a young lady. So it's a concern, and that's why I saw it in your newspaper. And outside
of the few killings that we have seen, All right, we can count the killings on one hand.
Yes.
That is a concern too. One too many. But for me, the biggest concern is the growing number.
Yeah.
You know, and when you look at the growing number, they come from all different parts of Dominica. So they come to the city, and it's really annoying, you know. They come to the city, they beg and they hustle you, you know, and sometimes even look violent towards you, you know. And so I think if central government can champion that cause.
Of course, yes.
See if we can get an NGO. See if we can get an international organization out there that is interested. The same way that we have I4 that is interested in animals, the stray dogs and so on. There must be some group of people or organization outside of the region to see how they too can look at that issue. But I think first of all we have to do a SWOT analysis of that situation.
I agree with you.
How can we better? How can we build? How can we develop? Because we do not want to see when it is done, when that is done. What we do not want to do, Adams, is to just leave it and let it go astray.
You have a caller.
Let's see what that person has to say. Good evening to you, caller.
Good evening.
Yes. Good evening, my partner, Brad and Cecil.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I think last night a partner walking down the road that in Grand Bay, and somebody that have a problem, the mental problem, have a knife in his hand and lash the man with how many thing of knife? The man get lash all on his arm, all on his back. And next day that man that have that mental problem still have a knife in his hand, walking up the road free without police do what they have to do, without they arrest him, stop him. And I think he have a mental problem. That is in Grand Bay. And the man that walking down the road, Campeche. And people that know Campeche know. I don't call his name, but people will know who is the person and who is the person he lashed, and the person he lashed with the knife is my cousin. And the man go by my mother. How many stitches on the man? Last time they take the man to the hospital. Police know. So I think police maybe have to do what they have to do to stop that man that have a knife and have a problem mental, so to do what they have to do. So thank you all to touch that point. Is a very important point. Thank you very much. And that comes from Wada.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's important, you know. I think let's take a little time to really talk about that, Green. Because we have homes, we have children. Our children eventually can come like this.
Yeah.
Let us not think that's not possible. Several things can trigger this.
Yeah, we have to take a more humane approach.
So we have to take a human approach into how we help these people.
Right. Another thing I think we need to do as well, just tying it in, I think at some point in time, Cecil, we need to have a drug rehab center. I'm raising it up, you know, because it's very important that we have that, because sometimes you see these guys, they get involved with drugs and later on they lose their minds. You know, there's no support systems there for them. So this is a big conversation we will have to have in terms of the discussion.
And not only a conversation, but even the place of constructing the infrastructure for them.
Yes.
And the kind of infrastructure that would be required, you know. And so we can do our own separate from how the rest of the region is actually doing their own. We can use a piece of everybody's own and make our own even better. Because I think a rehab is of great importance. We are talking about a halfway tree for persons that we figure out that can be outside of drugs that we can place there. So the halfway tree will be for, or the halfway home will be for people who are halfway down the line.
Yes.
All right. Those who are sick of the drugs, because for me it's a sickness. Some person doesn't want to consider it as a sickness, but I think it's a sickness like how you drink alcohol. You know, for me it's a sickness, and so it is important that too must be looked at, and to see how that now is central government, to see how central government can now place in their books, in their budgets, you know, how are we going to tackle it? We have to have the necessary experts that are required to ensure that we do it right. You know, some family members have paid huge sums of money to send their children to St. Lucia, to send their children to Trinidad, to send their children to other parts of the region. I think we can now do that, and the same way that they are paying, we can get whoever that we have to get in there. The state would have to maybe get some way to generate revenue to make that thing a workable program.
Well, Cecil, it was a pleasure being with you tonight.
Bring you fast to go, we boy.
You know,
because we're talking about, for me, we're talking sensitive issue on the vagrants. These vagrants are, some of them are homeless.
Yeah. The reason why I think we, at some point in time, would have to develop it more in terms of some of the principal policies that would have to be put into place and how best we can approach it, because nothing is new under the sun. It's just that we have to tweak our own or modify our own based on certain principal concepts that have been there, because you know there might be some areas who have set up drug rehab centers. There are some other areas around the world or in the Caribbean that may have developed policies and know-hows or how to deal with vagrants. And so we'll have to see what best work for us, because what we are noticing, as you said, is that the capital is the hub of all the activities that take place around the country, because it's really the economic center of the country. So as you would see, many paros would come from different parts of Dominica into the capital.
And I think, though, too, this is something that is happening for a long time.
Yeah.
As a boy growing up, a young boy growing up, we saw a lot of, we used to call them at those days, characters. Now they call them paros. All right? So we saw a lot of these characters. So, for instance, Ugly Willie was a vagrant.
Yeah, he was.
Haran Bakaxida was a vagrant.
Yes.
Muzi was a vagrant.
Yes.
They slept on the road.
That's right.
You know, but we didn't see that huge number that we are now seeing.
But these guys were of age.
And they were of age and calm.
Yeah. So basically, you would see Harold. He would probably be already in his 50s.
Yes.
You'd see probably Muzi. Ugly. They would really be in their 50s. But what we are noticing is that young guys between the ages of
18
and less than 30.
Yeah, and less than 40. Between 18 and 30.
And 18 and 30.
Yeah, we're seeing that number actually growing too fast. And again, too, family support.
Right.
Because I remember seeing a guy from Portsmouth, a young guy, came to town, dressing well, asking for monies on the side, and always asking for bread to eat. But I used to monitor him very well. And I found out that he was from Portsmouth, taking coke, and eventually see how he came. He comes now like a serious vagrant on the road. Serious. This guy was a guy who was neat. His was always been combed, and now see the guy on the road.
And he worked.
And I don't know if he worked.
Well, that one, I know of one. I will not call his name. I know he worked. I knew him at Astafan. Very good-looking man. And then I saw him in the Jackson area. And I was a little bit surprised to see him in that state that I saw him in. And it's very important. Sometimes we, as I said, is something, as you said before, we need to look at carefully. We need to find a way to find ways in terms of mitigating some of the situations that I see in the streets of Roseau. You know, it's very constant. And as the caller called in the Granby area, because I specifically saw that one walking with a knife, very angry, by the market area, and you never know whether he might slash somebody. He may.
And I'm saying that if that is what you're saying factual.
It's factual.
And you mean no one has called the police yet? That is against the rule, that's against the law.
I saw him.
I mean, you cannot be having, I don't care how mad you are, I don't care how unstable your mind is, You cannot be walking the streets of Roseau with a cutlass, a knife. If I'm walking with a cutlass in my hand, the police will stop me and tell me, what are you doing with the cutlass? So tell me that a man is walking, and because he have not slashed anybody.
He may not be taking it out, he may be taking out at specific times. He's coming, he's very angry, you see him with it, he's not all that well, and so, we have to be our brother's keeper.
We have to be our brother's keeper. Good evening to you, caller.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening to you, caller.
We lost the call.
The caller is still there, but I'm not so sure. Good evening to you, caller. Caller would have to call us back. But Brain, I think as a society, let's see that caller. Good evening to you, caller.
Brain, that's me again. My boy, the partner have how many stitches on him? The partner have how many stitches on him? The partner from Grand Bay. All on his arm, all on his back. The doctor, he just start to feel kuto on him. He just start to get knife just passing on him. And that man couldn't even defend himself because the man was heavy drinking. He couldn't even defend himself. And they had to take him to the hospital. And how many stitches? So how a man like that could have that mental problem, and that man could be walking free, and that man could still have a knife in his hand, and that man could out. They have something to do with that man.
Thank you, caller.
He have a mental problem. Take him down, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like the end of your words. Take him down. You could maybe even take him to the psychiatric unit.
Yes.
But I think the police should intervene on that one. If, as the caller said, he has done an act already. Good evening to you, caller.
Yes, before you conclude your program tonight,
we're just about
you said something about the paros.
Yes.
I know I don't live in Dominica. I've been away from Dominica. But one of the things that I've observed and we need to develop is the same love, compassion, and care.
Yes, that's correct.
I find too often we forsake, we neglect. We only know people when they are able to provide for us or we are able to gain from them. And a lot of family members will start to see that the paros on the street, they don't just come down from a mango tree and fall on the street. They came from families. And it's sad when I see certain people, especially people that I knew when I lived in Dominica. And unfortunately, that's the status at this time. Well, let me make this thing very clear. It's something that I've observed, and I'm saying it loud and clear tonight. A few of us from this SME from the group, and we don't depend on government because it's not a government school. I'm talking about our old school, St. Mary's Academy. And we're undertaking a project. And it's unfortunate that the number of persons, men who walked through the walls and sat on desks and chairs, educated themselves. They were morally, spiritually, physically, educationally. And today we are undertaking a project. And the response is so slow. How on earth can we neglect a school that have provided for our well-being, brought us success today? Many of us can acquaint to that, successful men and women. Which I told you to go to SME. Bro, a clarion call for help. We need to provide for our young generation because when we don't provide, subsequently, we'll have more paros. Because we neglect them from early, what happens in the future? They become paros. So help our young people. Help them attain an education. Help them to develop their minds while it's early. And not only think giving a little piece of finance will destroy your wallet or your bank account. Come up and help your alma mater. This is my current call for all old boys of SME, wherever you are in the world. Come forward. St. Mary's men go forth again to praise thee evermore. Pleasant evening, blessed Pentecost, and I hope the Holy Spirit really come down and touch a lot of us. Goodbye.
Well. That was
Well said.
That was Pentecost, man. The man sent down fire, man. you send down fire, boy.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good points that
which is positive.
These are very good points that he has made, and
very
you have
good
to understand that,
in terms of supporting your alma mater and support. Well, the clarion call for help should be extended to all Dominicans in terms of your brother's keeper. I think, and my concern is that the men, I hardly see women paros on the scene.
No, there are few, eh?
Yeah, but
There are few.
the vast majority I see as I traverse the streets of Roseau are men. And it gives me great concern that we need to really be our brother's keeper, and we must do all in our power to see how we can support that move in terms of, our drug rehab, our centers for assisting vagrants on the road. Is something which we'll get our blessings for, because we have to be very cognizant of the fact that we never know, maybe one of our own some point in time may find their way in that. Not that we want it, but some family member might find themselves, somebody we know very close to us may find themselves in that as well.
And
so
also,
we have to be very,
but you see, also to Brain, I think family members need to take cognizant of the fact that when your son or your daughter has gone down that road, we should not give up on them.
No.
I know quite a number of family members, they have not. They are constantly feeling the pain.
Yeah.
They constantly sometimes reach out to that child. That child is refusing to get home or come home.
Or that family member.
So I think what has to be done to also include the community.
Yeah.
Because you come from Grand Fond, you come from Vickers, you come from Penville, you come from Portsmouth, wherever you come from, and that child is in Roseau, you should feel a way to know that, boy, I knew that boy so well. He has gone the road, took drugs, and so he has been now, and he's sleeping on the. I think we as a community must have that softer heart, that gentle touch, to reach out to people, no matter how sick you think the person might be. Someday, I'm sure that person will be hearing your voice, even while they are in the cold concrete, and turn back. It's like the prodigal son.
Yeah.
The Bible is very clear. The prodigal son took all what he had to take from his father, went.
He returned.
And not just returned. Before he returned, he found himself eating among the pigs.
Yes, that's correct.
And he had to say, wow, see what's happening. My dad has everything back home.
I better go home.
Let me go home. So that can happen to the same guy that is vagrant, that is homeless now. We just have to, because sometimes when I meet those guys, I have conversation with them,
Yes.
I saw a guy on Independence Street about 2 weeks ago, just tearing up paper together, and I stood by him, and I maybe would have stayed about half an hour talking to him. He said he's from Maho. He told me, he doesn't take drugs. I said, nothing makes him believe that you don't take drugs. And I told him, what caused you to be here? Is it a woman? He said, no, woman, I don't have time for that. Ask him what is his best food that he likes. He told me. I tell him, when last did you eat that best food? I tell him, if I give you $5, what would that do for you? He put up his hand and said, I don't want your $5. So sometimes not even the money that they want. Sometimes it's like a care, like a love, a little attention, a little talk, so that they can go back home.
Yeah. Very interesting, very interesting. I heard the clarion call, and I think, yes, and I send out a clarion call to all of us to be a little more humane.
And many times we tend to think that person have that medical illness or that medical breakdown.
Yes.
We tend to think it's drugs every time.
No.
But what about the pressures from home?
The home pressure.
What about the pressures from family members?
Yes.
What about the feeling that they are secondary to the rest?
Right.
So sometimes when we look at the situation of some of these people and you have a good conversation with them, they're telling you something that is striking.
And not only that, did you hear of one who hanged himself?
I heard about a young man who hung himself some time ago.
Hung himself, man, somewhere in the Goodwill area.
Mm-hmm.
The young man hung himself. So maybe
never left a message.
Yeah, sometimes.
But is it drugs?
I don't know.
No, is it drugs?
Yes.
I've not heard or seen anyone who is a drug user, a drug user.
Hang himself?
I've taken the rope.
Taken the rope. Well, normally when you take the rope, it's psychologists say it's great depression, you know.
It's depression. What is the cause of the depression?
What could it be your problem?
Could it be your job could it be your problem at your work? Is it the problem of your girlfriend? Is it the problem of your family?
Right.
You know, when you're depressed, a number of things
Can come in your head.
And depression is all about drugs.
Right. But you heard also that a guy, some guy in a neighboring island who shot his wife. Killed his wife. Yeah, so sometimes, you know.
And this guy last week from St. Lucia, who killed his wife.
Yeah.
I mean, they were together. They were two young people. She left him for whatever the reason. He sent messages upon messages to her that he was going to kill her.
Right.
And she responded to him by telling him, I will not be with you. Go get another woman. Right. I don't want you. But she may not have understood the depression that the guy would have been going through. Depression. She didn't take the opportunity to tell him, but what caused you to want to love me so much? Right. Why you have conversation? Get more from him. You know, why you want to kill me? We have a daughter, as you said. Right. You say you love your daughter. Why would you want to kill me and go to jail? Let's have a conversation.
But remember, and as we on the conversation we're about, you know, some people cannot deal with disappointments. Some people cannot deal with their own ego or their whole control of an individual. Because basically, you know, some of us cannot get out of it. We become so obsessed and possessed.
But you see, sometimes we become obsessed, right? And even if we are obsessed, we can just give the person that opportunity of that conversation to remove that obsession from them, you know.
In their minds.
Obsession can be moved, you know.
Yeah.
You know, just give that person that opportunity to have conversation, because that person is seeing themselves less of a person, not only not being with you, but you're not communicating. Right. So maybe the guy in St. Lucia who would have reached that situation where I'm calling the girl every day.
And she's not responding.
She's responding to me. She's just saying to me, I don't want you. Go get a life. Go get another woman. But the guy is trying to tell you, I want to have a conversation with you.
Well, Cecil,
you know what I'm saying?
As I said, it's not everybody can deal with situations. So therefore, that is why, and I agree with my good friend who just called, we need to always converse, we need to dialogue, we need to dialogue. We need to always find a balance. So, Cess?
Yes, we're coming down to the end.
Coming down to the end.
We give them another half an hour.
It's Pentecost.
Yeah. Yes.
And you know, I noticed
you
that
heard Branca, Father Branca.
I heard fire fall.
Boy, Father Branca wasn't it,
I heard that that Pentecost is not a time for
good time, party,
for a good time,
for fete.
Well, I mean,
Branca Jonas Bravery.
But people see Pentecost in different lights.
Mm-hmm.
Some people see fire falling.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I saw some fire fell in Portersville, where I noticed there was dancing. I see some people were celebrating on Bois Bois.
Well, to be quite honest with you,
I mean, I'm just saying that there are different modalities of
I agree.
Celebration.
You see, a lot of people do not know. A lot of people, if you speak to them now, they do not know that Isidore is the representation of Pentecost.
What is that? It's fire falling.
But I tell a lot of people do not know that Isidore is Pentecost.
And Pentecost require fellas.
And Pentecost require for man to speak in tongues.
And there was tongues. There was great jubilation.
Yes.
When they were speaking in tongues, and everybody was speaking
so you know
and
what?
having a bon temps.
The church has to be blamed. Father Branca John, you say it well, but I can tell you the church is 1 minute too late. Because all of us are aware when we hear of Isidore, say bon temps.
Say bon temps.
It's good time, party.
But he may have his own thing. But
So it's a time, rather than saying to the people the way you said it, Father John, I'm not against you saying it. I'm happy that you said it. It should be an opportunity to start to educate the people as to the value of Pentecost. Look at, you have St. Peter's Feast. St. Peter's Feast, remember like a fete. Some people don't know what the meaning or the value of St. Peter's Feast.
Fisherman's Fair.
It's the fisherman's fair. Soon from now, maybe Port is going to have their own. They're going to have bon temps.
No, we always have a bon temps.
That's the point. So
Always have a bon temps.
Isidore is the period, the time when man fell, fire came down, and man started talking tongues. That's what Pentecost is about. It's basically like a reincarnation of an individual coming back.
Remember, David danced and sang.
And sang.
Right.
But David didn't drink so much that he got drunk.
But he drank.
Yeah, he drank.
He drank. The question is how you do it. But I know in tradition, according to Fiddle on the Roof, that during Pentecost, in all the communities, they came together, they ate, they danced,
and they drank.
They drank.
Some of them got drunk.
Some get drunk.
But now they're having some more music.
Now they went to the
greater
church
noise.
And they celebrated their mass. You saw it in Grand Bay, you saw it in Petit-Soufrière, you saw it in areas where they had it. It's a tradition. To the extent at which they go, that may be another issue, but I know, and Cecil, you know, we have gone to many Isidore, and people will be going to Isidore, and you know it's bon temps.
I think Father John, you just have some work to do. You have to teach the church. You are the father. You are the leader of the church. You have to now expound, explain in no other terms to your members of your church. And you find, I'm not so sure what the population of your church membership is, but you have to start teaching. And you're not making a statement when Pentecost has arrived. You have been there for some years, and it's not the first time Pentecostal is on. It's not the first time they're going to have bon temps. It's not the first time they're going to drink rum. So you have to make it your business, Father. I appreciate the fact that you're able to knock the thing on its head. Maybe the past priests didn't see the need to pong it in their heads. No, you did it, and you did a very good job at it, I must say. But Father John, I'm asking you just a learning process. You have to know. So you're going to say the same thing about Christmas just now, then?
Well,
Christmas is the birth of Jesus Christ.
Don't ask.
A lot of rum, and not only that. Is it because it has become so commercialized that you cannot speak to the commercialized people, the business sectors outside, that to make them to remind them that it is about Jesus?
Let me tell you something, Cecil.
But Branca, you open up kind of woman.
Let me tell you something. Christmas time is time for jabon. It's time for turkey. It's time for Noel. It's time for singing. So that's why some Calypsonians tell you it seems to they take out Christ from Christmas and they bring
Xmas.
And the Xmas.
Xmas.
You know, tell you that crazy.
They got Christ.
So you know they take out Christ from the Christmas and bring Xmas bon temps. Now Isidore is a time when man and woman drinking. I see them up there in the little village. They taking their wabi. You just now call her, just let me, and they dancing. But they like their church. They like their church. Anyway.
So what about May Day? May Day is a special time for employees to go out there and to celebrate, not to shake your waist, to celebrate, to give thanks, to give exchange. Today May Day is no more. Today May Day is bon temps. We just know it's a holiday. We have jazz festival a day before, and the next day is bon temps. We go on the beach. We're having a good time.
Bon temps.
August Monday supposed to be a time where we reflect about slavery.
And let me take that caller just
No, we'll take a caller just
let me tell you. But I went down to Castaways today, Meru and bon temps.
Bon temps.
Bon temps.
Isidore.
Hello, don't call me bon temps. Anyway, take the call.
No. And before we go, I should have said that earlier on. I don't know if you heard what Mr. Later said earlier about strikes.
Mayday?
About strike. They won some case, I think the ILO convention of 87, number 87, would speak about it, but they went to court. I think somewhere I heard a Bajan lady speaking about it this week, talking about they have had a moral victory about strikes.
Well, let me tell you that. In the days of yore, men used to go to church on May Day, and they used to have the workers walk from the union's office to parish hall, or vice versa. Will we be seeing a walk tomorrow? I leave that for you. Let's take the caller.
Tomorrow's not May Day.
Well, the last time they had their May Day.
No, they had no walk.
They had their walk?
No, there was no walk.
It wasn't beach they went to, no?
They went to the beach.
Okay.
I'm just talking, no, but you and I saying something different. I'm talking about Mr. Lita indicated that they have a moral victory about strikes.
Oh.
And I think I'm not going to go and prolong it. I think what I want to ask Mr. Lita and maybe even Steve is to come and explain to us what is meant by what the court decision was.
Okay. Well,
because I think it's of importance for a better explanation to be given, because I don't want anybody to read from what Mr. Lita says that they can now just go out and strike.
okay, good.
There are conditions. There is a constitution that says that gives you about the laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica and laws of other countries of the world as to the condition of strike.
Okay.
And Mr. Lita and them need to tell us whether the condition that is in the books today, that is in some collective agreement, where the employer must be informed where you're going to have a strike. So you can get up this morning and call your men and women out and say you have a strike. There are rules and regulations that governs how you go about doing strikes. So I do not want, when I heard Mr. Lita, and I heard a little clarification from Cecil Joseph, but when I heard Mr. Lita, it was like saying that you can just go out on strike. We have a moral victory on strikes, and I heard a lady from Barbados speaking. I think I need DBS Radio to have a conversation with both the council, the union council, the trade union council that was established in February. I would need DBS Radio to sit with the trade union council and also the minister responsible for labor to have a discussion on that issue, because I don't want any employee to do it wrong. Okay. Because I think it is the onus is still placed on the union to give direction to their members and to give the proper direction. I just wanted to say that.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that. That's important to me.
Let's take the caller final
quickly.
call.
Good evening to you, caller. Good evening.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening to you, caller.
We making contact with you.
Well, yeah. So I just wanted to say that I wanted to get a little more time early on to make mention of it.
Okay.
But I think it's important that callers calling back. Good evening to you, caller.
Yes, that's it. I
Yes.
think we're missing the point on the Pentecost celebration in Granby or whatever it is.
Go ahead.
The priest is advocating that Pentecost traditionally in the Catholic Church is the birthday of the church. We all know when the Holy Spirit descended upon the apostles and everybody started speaking in tongues, different languages. What he's saying is the day of Pentecost, it just started the event with a Jubilee. Pentecost, we all know that Pentecost has gone the way it is on Pentecost Monday. Easy the bam bam. People, they have a church celebration service, and then they go out in the streets, showing and displaying the produce and all that stuff. But to open the event, the night, Saturday night going into Sunday morning, we have lost the way of Christ. Sunday, we know Saturday is the Sabbath. Traditionally, we celebrate, most people, Christians celebrate on Sunday. Where is Christ in the world? We have Monday to celebrate. You could start Sunday night with a Jubilee, just like Carnival. Mm-hmm. Carnival never starts on Sunday night.
Yes.
That is the point he's making.
Okay.
The Jubilee aspect. Get it right.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, that is clarification.
That's a puto Catholic, so
yeah,
you
but
know,
he give
he'll
us
give
the
the clarification.
Or in other words, don't start Juve on Saturday night. You start Juve Monday evening.
But Monday evening can be a Juve.
Monday
evening.
Monday early morning.
But
when do we start Juve?
But to ask you, when does the church
Juve start?
No, when does the church start the celebration of Pentecost?
Sunday.
Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday. Pentecost Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they had the activity.
But Juve, so you're saying that if Pentecost is on
Monday,
let's say Sunday, yes, on Sunday, it starts on Sunday morning. What's the difference? If it's on Monday and it starts on Sunday morning, what's the difference? If you start it on Saturday, what's the difference? I just want to know.
No, but the question would be, for me, have they been practicing that tradition throughout their is it something new that they?
It might be something new. It might be something new. I've not been following. I've not been following this cultural thing.
Yes.
Because
like Granby has a culture,
right?
Would there be something innovative, meaning something new, or something that they have been accustomed of doing? That would be a question I would like to ask. But that's for another
time.
Another time.
All right, we have gone real far,
Cecil,
and we still have people on social media communicating with me.
Yeah.
Boy.
Anyway.
But it was a very good discussion. We intended to have spoken of. We intended of speaking on. We intended on speaking on foods tonight, but we didn't.
We'll do that next.
We'll do it another time.
Well, Cecil, it's a pleasure being with you. I look forward to next Sunday.
We have spoken on issues that I think that were very relevant tonight. And because of that, I am grateful that we were able to enlighten people on a number of things, to include land reform, to include on land owners, to include on who are the first set of people who get themselves involved in politics as independent individuals. We have seen that in Dominica for some years at the very beginning, before adult suffrage, and even after adult suffrage we saw it. So it was a good discussion that we had tonight.
And I was also happy that we could also raise the issue of the landowners as it relates to revolutions that has taken place in Dominica over land. And the most recent one we had was the one in Granby with our good friend Francis, which better known as who? UNICEF. So, and we also highlighted some of the icons who passed on, like our good friend, the superintendent, Mr. Charter, Mr. Jeff Charles, your former manager. It was very interesting to hear the information we received from our caller. So we want to thank you, caller, for that piece of information you gave us.
And I also want to thank you for your historical background, for the information you have given us and to the general public.
Yes.
It's important, and I'm really happy, Brain, that you are my co-host that can help me in making the program the way it is. As I said to you before, that I'm so very surprised of the number of people when they meet me that speak to me about the Lakou. And they say they don't miss it. There's a particular lady who met me this week, and she said, Cecil, you must always have the Lakou. And I said to her, I will do that for people like you, because you understand what the yard is, what it meant to people like you.
And one person asked me, and I tend to tell you at some point in time, I hope I'll have time next Sunday, he told me, boy, Brain, since you talk about the blue pill and you decide to bring an alternative for me, I'm waiting for that alternative. I will not give it to you tonight. I will give it to you next time.
Boy, okay. we need to talk about the alternatives. and we will tell people that they have to call us that night. We're not going to do the talking. That night, we're going to ask people to call in and to tell us what is the alternative for the blue pill. All right? Because people like me just don't have to try to get that alternative,
Yeah.
And there are many other men out there
waiting
for that answer.
For the alternative.
So before I reach you, I have to reach. Please, people out there, tell me what the alternative will be.
And the reason why I'm saying that, because I know some dispensers who are fallen prey to their own medication.
Yes, since then passed on.
Yeah.
Yes, since then passed on.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So, Brain, it was really nice.
Yeah.
It's another nice conversation. We have found ourselves doing 45 minutes for our listeners. So once again, good night and thank you. Have a productive day tomorrow. God bless you and have a safe night. Thank you. It's 11:45.
Big is the population at the moment in Darjeeling?
In Darjeeling, there are about 25 positive habitats, and within that habitats, there are some 3,500 individuals.
Wow. Okay. Jean, can you describe the climate and environment of the parts of South Africa where endangered frogs are found?
Yes, so we've got sort of two main hotspots in the country where